Hi everybody, it's me, Quest. Welcome in, and welcome back to Simple Path. Today's going to be, well, I can't really say, because it entirely depends on what the party gets up to. They're on the road, they've just gotten done taking their breakfast, when they were camping out in the woods, having a nice relaxed evening and morning in the beautiful natural fields in the country of Lorbus. Ones that are currently rich and saturated with lush green grass, blooming flowers whose petals roll through the air, and full trees who wave and glisten in the sunlight and the breeze. And so it is. You all wake up. To remind you, last session we camped out. You found out that you were about a half mile down the road from a small village by the name of Petalo. And that you were on the road, if a little bit off course, on the path to Lorbany, the capital of Lorbus. And now, I hand over agency to you all. How would you like to proceed?
Did we just wake up from our?
I would say you've woken up. You've woken up. You've taken the time to have breakfast. You've all kind of gotten the sleep, like the cotton out of your head and the sand out of your eyes.
Okay, then.
The Cappies are taking a what do you call it, little bask in the sunlight. Schultz is currently picking apart a mouse somewhere up at a tree.
Well, should we proceed to, what is the place called again? The Knowledge Archive?
The Society Quadratica.
Yeah, should we proceed to the Society Quadratica then?
It shouldn't be
Today is a
too
new
much
day.
farther away, I suppose. I know for a fact I want to peek at those archives.
Yes, as do I and many of us, actually.
And those
Today is a
firearms.
new day. Yes, there's much to learn. Also, if I recall, I don't think that the whole Karya and Vair curse has been entirely discussed with everyone.
Not everybody, not yet.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it's
Just
been
making
pretty
sure.
stuck. Yeah, I think when we
Mhm.
got off, I think I handed the water to Varg.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Correct.
Did anyone ever take that potion of heroism, by the way, or ask
No,
for one?
I don't believe so.
I'm pretty sure
I
I
have it.
didn't
right?
know.
Or did you make one for me? Specifically.
I put it down essentially, but Holo Holo was just kind of offering it to anyone who wanted it. Essentially, last time.
Bottoms up, or rather into the bandolier it goes.
Yeah, I'd still take it. Vark takes the quote-unquote liquid courage that I brewed up.
Correct.
Okay. And also in the morning again, since how many miles are we away from the city again?
Let's have a measure.
I remember us saying that we were, well, not necessarily miles, but that we were like a day and a half's worth of travel away because there was a village nearby, but we were pretty close as it was.
You were, you could see the spires of the city on the horizon. They're starting to come up over the edge of the skyline. You would have to estimate it would probably be at least a couple days travel. The village you're nearby is half a mile away. That's honestly that's a short walk, all things considered.
Oh, what I'm more or less trying to ask is how many miles away are we from the port city? Is what I'm asking.
For the port city,
Yeah.
well, you're about a day's travel, and for a
Yeah, because we arrived, traveled for a bit until it started getting dark, camped, and now we're closer to the main city.
Because
Let me
if that
check.
if that is the case, I would like to do me a little something again.
Click clack. Let's see. What is their speed? Okay. Since we're about a day's travel away from the port city, that being Brindy.
Mhm.
Let's see, it's about 8 miles an hour. No, let's see. It's about 8 miles an hour. Spending minutes. Yep, given the you're about 80 miles away from the
Oh,
from
okay.
the-
So
from the port city.
okay. So point is, we're far away. I'm gonna cast Lay of the Land again, like going towards like the nearby like creek. I'm gonna use Lay of the Land and kind of do what I did last time, using the water to sort of divinate the land around me or the geography around me and such.
Well, you got the same picture you had last night. It's you got the forest spreading out around you, the path that forks in several directions, one of which passes through this village, which is a little bit of a gap in your sense of the surrounding environment, with dots of gardens and fields, flowers, and lots of flowers. That definitely seems to be their main thing they're growing there. You've got that creek, which is running up through the mainland. It's getting bigger as it goes further inland. That makes sense. Merging with other smaller rivers and eventually forming into a larger one going further up and then exiting your sense of awareness. And besides that, for the most part, it's rolling hills, flower beds, and copses of trees.
Okay. Yeah, so just relatively generic natural phenomenon, nothing a little too
Nothing?
extraordinary.
Nothing that really stands out. This doesn't seem to be a place of, well, extraordinary character.
Okay.
There's no mountains, there's no great holes, there's no canyons. It's temperate grassland and forest.
Okay. Then I'll finish that and then I'll go back to the
I actually, not to detract from that, but is the Society Quadratica in the capital city? Is that what it is?
That
Or
is where their
Society
HQ
Quadratica-
is, yes.
Okay, yeah, because I remember we spoke of like their king or their emperor.
Oh, no, sorry. The Society
technically?
Quadratica, sorry, is not headquartered in Orbis. That was a mistake on my part. They are headquartered in Rosino, but they do have a large branch in Morbus. Specifically,
okay,
it is
so
the
we're heading-
firearm group, the Match and Lock company, that is headquartered in Morbus.
So we are heading to Morbis first. Which one are we heading to at this point? We're heading straight to the large headquarters, or do we have to make stops along the way?
I mean, you would need to resupply, you would need to rest. You also voiced a interest in potentially speaking to the King of Lorbus at one point.
Well, yes, no, I absolutely wanted to, but I was curious if it was along the path or if it was
Oh, yeah,
a
no,
detour.
You could take a... It would, by all effects, be a detour, but it would not be a massive. Especially with the direction you guys are currently going. You would pass through
Makes sense.
you would pass through the primary capital, then go into the country of Rosino, and then through the great forests of the Rose Country, and then towards the capital. This is, or at least was, the main road you were following. Due to some perhaps navigational errors, you swerved a little bit off the path and are currently on a side road, one that is still leading to Lorbany.
Okay, good.
Good to know. Good to know, yes.
Okay. Well then, anything else anybody wants to bring up? Because otherwise, it sounds like you guys are getting packed up and getting moving again.
Yep.
I think as we're kind of getting, probably getting ready to pack up, Flick is going to approach Vark
Oh,
He is
Yeah, he's going. Yeah, he's going to ask him. Okay, so, well, first off, how have you been lately? Just to check in on things. I know this journey to Quadratica is something that's been on your mind.
well, like he doesn't even look at you. He just keeps backing up his things. Mostly just riding utensils, some leftover food, some clothes, his base bedroll. Well, it has been a while since I last rather set foot on this continent. It is quite refreshing to see these lands again. I've missed these. And he casts a supposedly despondent gaze over the wilderness. Wonderful lands.
I said, the scenic landscape is certainly something to appreciate. Though I ask this because I've been curious ever since the North, and I never really brought this up before, and I don't think either of us have. You know these swords we found? And Flick kind of motions his scabbard and his rapier towards Fark.
Yes, I do. What about it?
How did they end up in the village?
Well, if memory serves correctly, they were found by Chaiko in one of the crates that I believe Sergei or our wagon had with it. Meaning that they were supposedly part of the supply cache that Stanislav sent them. I believe we should address this in the next one. This fun will follow.
This has been something that's been kind of bothering me. I never brought it up because, I mean, I suppose I was so enamored by them that it just never crossed my mind, but now that I think about it, it is rather odd that they ended up in those crates.
Very much so. I must try it myself for not remembering to ask him myself. But I suppose failure is also human.
Well, as long as we have the question in mind now, we can at least save it for another time.
I will write it down just in case.
I'll be sure to make a mental note myself.
Was there anything else?
Well, honestly, I wasn't expecting you to be from here. Curiosity, really.
I am not technically from here. Both on the geographical scale, but also the planar one. I believe I have made it no secret that I am from the Shadowfell. But my master had her place of residence in Naya, to the south of here.
Interesting. If you don't mind my asking, how?
Is lush.
I was just about to ask about that. I was going to ask how it was there.
Truth be told, I did not spend much time wandering the country. I spent my first several years on this plane just holed up in her tower. My master was a collector of many a interesting piece of literature, both in the scholastic sense, but also in the sense of more occult research, I suppose one should say.
Lots of esoteric knowledge.
I suppose you could call it that, yes.
Hmm.
And I believe the term is a fish out of water, yes? A person who is lost in a strange situation, unknowing what to do. Is that the correct way to say it?
You know, you and me might just be in the same boat, because I found myself in a similar position not too long ago, but I'll have to share the specifics with you, probably at a later point.
I
So
see
that-
no resemblance of the shadow fell on you, but I will take you by your
Well,
word.
well, I'm not from there, no. What I mean is the fish out of water comparison. You know,
Oh.
being in a strange situation and being at a loss for what to do next.
Good to know.
Because on that, you and I might have some sort of connection in that regard. But again, I'd have to share the specifics with you at some other point. For now, we have some packing to do.
Indeed we do, but that does
Yeah, we don't want to burn too much
interesting.
sunlight now, do we?
Flips up. No, it is quite pleasant to travel in sunlight for once. I enjoy every moment of it.
Likewise. Anyways, I shouldn't keep you too much longer.
Thank you very much. I will see you
Of course. And Flick will return to begin or finish up packing up his things.
Let's little conversation, delving into each other's, at least touching upon each other's histories and backstories and why they're here. Anybody else have anything they'd like to discuss while the group gets packed up in the wagon moving?
I think the only thing I would have is just a quick mention saying, so in the previous city, Modan, I purchased this eye mask and she'll take it out of her satchel. It is to be used on the eyes, obviously, but while wearing it, you are unable to use your true perception and instead swapping it out for a bird's eye view, giving you a lay of the land from above. You're able to see quite a lot this way, and perhaps it will be useful to us while we're traveling here and in future locations.
Siren
Just so you all know.
produces this almost silvered-looking oval of metal with a pair of leather straps, which, or at least a leather strap that you would assume wraps around the back of your head. And on the front of this shining metal eye mask is what looks to be an embossed relief of what a pair of closed eyes might look like.
Just a little something useful.
Flick will follow up with a kind of producing the tube that holds the map, and he'll brandish it and say, "Might work in tandem with this. Probably will help with a bit of a cross-referencing and all that."
Yes, indeed.
How far is the, I guess, cone of vision on that?
Actually, that is a good question.
Yeah, how far would you be able to see with those?
It is a 100-foot radius circle. See from above.
Okay, that's good.
So it's much better for getting a detailed look at your direct vicinity. The Wanderer's map is good for having a semi-detailed cartographed image of everything within a square mile.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So fairly decent cross-reference.
Potential use could be spotting something on the Wanderer's map and then getting close and using the eye mask to get a actual look at it from a distance of roughly 100 feet away.
Mm.
So yeah, anything else? Okay, no
That
takers.
should be it.
That said, would you chart your course to pass through the village, or would you rather just go around it and head straight to the capital?
A really quick interjection. Vark would actually hold out a hand.
Mark holds up his hand.
May I keep it for now? The mask, I mean.
Oh, yes, of course. I don't really have any use for it right now. And she'll hand it to Vark.
Thank you very much. Giving it a quick test, he puts it on.
Yep, like she said, your actual eyesight goes it's not even dark like back home. It's just straight up your eyes stop functioning while the mask is on, and then suddenly you're almost there's no feeling of vertigo as if you're thrown out of your body. Instead, you just put the mask on, and then it's like opening your eyes after blinking, and then you're looking down. You see the wagon, you see people grouped around it, you see your own body with the mask held up to your eyes. You see everybody bustling around, getting things loaded. You see the horses kind of shrugging their shoulders, stamping into the dirt. You see forest all around, and just off in the distance, you can see what looks to be flower beds and what looks to be the outer limits of a village, situated in the middle of the forest. Also, the brook, the river that is small and lapping and traveling further inland.
Okay. Licks the mask off again. Blinks a little bit as he reorientates himself to seeing through his eyes.
It is disorientating. You were just getting used to seeing things from a strange angle, and now you're back in your body with a limited field of view.
Well, that is strange, but useful. Thank you very much. That will be everything. We can move on now.
Okay. All right. Question returns. Passing through the village or going right by?
I don't think we need to stop at this village. I am pretty sure that we have everything, don't we?
Yeah.
I 100% agree. About the only reason we would stop is to stock up on more things, but that's about it.
Might have something interesting there, but I don't know if right now it's super necessary.
I'd
Is
say
this
we
a village?
pass.
I guess I should ask, this village, is it one that, that's like been told to us, or is it
Nope.
literally just
The only reason you
wild
even
old-
know its name is because of what do you call it? It's because of a combination of Flick and of actually, yeah, no, it's not. It's not because Lay of the Land only gives you natural knowledge. As a result of Flick's map, where it gave a label naming it as the village of Patalo.
Mm,
You know nothing about it besides.
I guess looking at the depiction of the map, would there be indicators if it's like a farming village, if it's a fishing village, like
Well,
obviously not a fishing village.
well,
just-
given context clues, what do you think?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Flick, what does the surroundings on the map? Oh wait a minute. Hello.
Remember all the flowers?
Yeah, there are a lot of flowers. I can assume that maybe that might be an export for them.
Are you
like-
wait? Are
Well,
you
a
asking
lot of
for one more
flowers
question?
indicates that the soil is fertile, so I'm assuming good plantations and stuff.
So yeah, they're probably a farming village. I'm not going to another goddamn village right now.
I think it would be a good idea to at least pass through it, and maybe stock up on more things. That's about it.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of in this. I'm actually in the same boat. That stopping to resupply is always better. Just
Mhm.
go in, get the extras, and get out.
Mhm.
That way we can get our story thread. No, I'm kidding.
Did
I mean,
so-
even if we don't really need anything right now, we can just pass through, and if we see something interesting, like, oh, look at this thing that's cool, we can buy it, it's super useful.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we just pass
Did-
through it and,
Look at this stuff. It's
Um,
neat.
did someone say my name now? Because I thought I heard Karia calling.
I think he was going to ask you about like what particular like natural.
I was gonna ask lay of the land, but Siren actually remembered, so we just I didn't have to ask anymore.
All right.
Yeah, from what you can tell, it's one surrounded by a loose copse of trees. There's lots of flowers there. There's a single road running through it, as far as you can tell, and a river that runs by it. Besides that, everything else is entirely up to interpretation and context and educated guessing. So yeah. And, so the current path would take you would potentially take you through the village, or there is a second road that could take you around. The road would then take you up to Lorbany, the capital. There is the headquarters of the Matchlock Company, as well as a large branch of the Society Quadratica. If you wanted to hit up their headquarters, you have to go to Rosino. And if you want to reach that, Rosino is also the location of is the location supposedly of Lydia, her tower. Lydia's original residence as well as home, it was in Naya, but she spent the latter half of her life perfecting her own magical abilities, everything else, building up her wizard's tower in Rosino specifically, which Vark, from personal experience, would know to be the country with the largest and most vaunted magic academy this side of the world, as well as general overall magical community. There's a large scholastic guild of mages. So yes.
would there also be a scholastic book fair? No, I'm kidding.
No. You are not getting a ninja kit.
I wanted a cool poster.
if
of
only.
Rangers.
Sorry, no pocket
If
knives.
only.
I wanted that one thing that when you turn. I want that one thing when you turn to one side, it goes.
Oh, the
yeah.
tube, yeah.
Why?
Yes, the little noise tube. Unfortunately, no scholastic book fair for you. No matter how much
Damn
money
it,
you
Josh.
raise. Everybody knows it was the kids with the rich parents that won anyway. And I always wanted those fucking pocket knives, but I could never get one. I wanted a decent pocket knife when I was a kid, but yeah. Anyway, so it sounds like you guys are at least going to have a trundle through the village, see what it's like, see if there's anything worth picking up there, and then if nothing, just pass right on through.
Yeah, at least a peek.
Okay. Now, if you come to regret this, we will not know until it actually goes through anyway.
The moment, and I mean the moment, that someone goes, yes, there's trouble in our town, I'll go, sorry, we're on business, and then I will leave. I swear to God.
You said
The
you were gonna
last
be king. You gotta help your people.
I'm not gonna be king of the world? Like, fuck.
Well, you said king of everyone. If you're not willing to help people
I
in need,
didn't
what
say
kind of
king
king?
of everyone. I said I wanted to make a home for everyone.
Well,
This is-
still,
the-
I don't know if
they
I
already-
wanna.
They already have a king here, okay?
That
Mhm.
actually, that's true.
Supposedly, according
Would
to
they be
the
king of this village as well?
Apparently,
sure.
he's a very nice. Well, so here's the thing: if this is a country that has multiple villages and multiple large cities that have
Mhm.
their own leadership, in a way, he would be an emperor because normally an emperor governed over many kings. However, this is a smaller nation. He's probably just a very influential king. Do you want Karia to come in and take his land? Is that what Siren is saying right now?
That's
Now-
what I'm
Clean
saying.
top?
Siren didn't say anything.
Now, Frey, you said that if the first mention of anybody saying that the village is in trouble, oh no, please help us, you're going to book it. Tell me, would you be more worried if I ended up saying, "Oh no, everything here is perfectly fine"?
I don't trust this king, so actually, yeah, probably.
No, more specifically, you don't trust me.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And that is what can I say? It's something, an interaction I have cultivated and I relish.
Yes. Yeah.
We are all
Watch-
happy
watch
here
the-
in Smilesburg. Everyone is happy. Wee.
Watch
It's
the entire
beautiful
village.
here. The king took the throne, and now nothing ever bad happens.
The entire village is going to turn out to be a mimic, isn't it?
Yeah, the
If
entire
if
village-
Grim had a say, he would absolutely have that be a thing because he
Yes,
is
yes.
he is enamored with the concept of walking mimic villages,
Yes, yes.
and that's a
I've already
thing.
told
That is a
him.
thing in D&D. That's what
Yes,
that's what
oh,
happens
Jesus.
when mimics come together as a communal
With
organism.
colony. Yep.
When mimics pull a siphonophore.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Maybe
once
we shouldn't
ran
go to the
one-
village then.
Yeah, I once ran-
Oh,
once
I'm sorry. Is this getting
ran-
too ominous for you?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I once ran a one-shot where it was like a murder mystery. Everyone was invited to a mansion on a hill, and then they thought it was haunted, and then it turned out that the entire place was just a mimic colony. And they're like, "What do you mean? What do you mean there's no ghosts?" And I was like, "Yeah, the stove attacked you, and the kitchen's alive, but there's no ghosts." And they went, "Oh my god, it's a mimic." It was so... Anyways, yes. Let us continue into this.
Excellent,
Happy
because,
Few-esque village.
During that entire interaction, I took the time to throw you guys onto the map.
Uh-oh.
Good.
Oh my goodness, it's a village. It's oh wow, it's so pretty.
I see it.
I'm
too,
glad you
though.
like it.
I see.
Hey, I see some Navi Gavi art.
Oh wait, a tiefling burn it. Oh wait, we can't burn it. Shit.
Wrong country.
That's my other character.
Mhm.
One of them looks like a Devil May Cry character. I don't mind it. This is a guard.
Like a quest.
Mhm.
You know, this NPC, right?
That one? Yes, I recognize that art as well.
Yeah, I love the artist.
It's very cute.
Follow them on Twitter.
They do very cute art.
Mhm.
Navi Gabby. Yes. So you guys, for the next, I'm gonna say half an hour, the horses take their time as they walk through the loose forest. The sun comes through the leaves and little specks that dapple across your hair, and across the floorboards of the wagon. The horses revel in the sweet, flowery breeze that passes through the forest. Overall, the experience is quiet and very serene, as the only thing you can really hear besides the rush of the wind and the rustle of leaves is songbird or bird song coming through the tree branches. And as that happens, the sound of babbling water and muted chatter comes through. And soon the trees break apart, and you come onto a somewhat worked out you move from what was previously a path that was worn through with use, now turns into a properly paved dirt road. The thick tree roots now give way to soft dirt, and the wagon ceases rocking quite as much. As you know, are in what seems to be a clearing carved out in the middle of this loose little copse of trees, with thatched roofs. You see flower pots and trellises and fields and a small pond in the center of the village, and all throughout the village seems to be garlands and beds and pots full with blooming flowers. And all throughout the village, people bustle through and go about their day. You see what seem to be quite obviously out-of-towners who are here. You see villagers who are going about their day. The guards see you coming through and move to speak to you. But before they do, you see one older man working a patch of what seems to be wildflowers in the back of in his back garden. This out-of-town gentleman seems to be leaning over the fence and talking to this young woman. this young lady's picking flowers in the town center. You see what looks to be a man and a woman speaking over here. The man, rather large, muscular individual with a big box of fruit, and we got floral blooms hoisted on one shoulder. Middle-aged man speaking with an older woman out front. It's front in what you recognize as probably being the only inn in this entire little town. A group of people gathered around near what looks to be the communal village oven, and a priest parked out by an obelisk in the center, as well as this man here looks to be a gnome of some sort, hawking large vegetables as well as his own particular flowers from the back of a cart.
Like
The village. Oh, he has a radish, or it's more like a. Yes, more radish. Yes, more radishes. The village itself seems to be.
As a rash.
The-
Like what?
Alright.
And it keeps coming back.
No.
But the
Sorry, none of us are doctors.
overall, the village is vivacious and alive with people as well as the flowers, and there is fauna as well as the flora within this village.
I have a question.
What's up?
Who's this guy?
You have to find out. You don't recognize him.
Who is he?
You don't recognize him, and you haven't spoken to him.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Well, I will say that you can tell he's a little different as he's one of few that have a purple outline.
The purple
With
outline
black
specifically.
sclera, scars, and dark hair.
The purple outline is specifically. Well, he doesn't have black sclera. That just is a weird quirk of the eye, the hair hanging in front of his eyes. But he's actually got white sclera. There's nothing. The purple outline specifically, I did as a method of setting apart the people who obviously look like they're from out of town.
That's what I figured. I was like, okay, so
Yeah,
we can tell who the protagonists are in this village by looking around at the purple.
The
Yes.
protagonist.
Yes, the people with protagonist energy are the ones with purple borders. Now, what about the other colors of borders? You'll find out later. Anyway, so you come up through what there's no real hard gate or a blockade or anything like that, or even a fence. But as you come to what seems to be the threshold of the village, a pair of guards come up to you, Karya, seeing as you're the one out front driving. Yes, we're aggressive bands of reptile people. That won't happen.
She's demanding.
As he comes up and, well, as I correctly indicate on the right page, as he comes up to you, Karya, holding up a hand and just saying, "Please stop right there."
I obviously will.
Okay.
I don't feel
As
like
you-
running over a village today.
You slow the cart to the wagon to a stop, and he looks up and down, kind of obviously seems to be gawking a little bit at the size of it as he has a simple boar spear in one hand, which he has planted with the butt into the ground. As you were coming in, he was leaning up against. Now is standing a bit more of attention and says, "Right, don't suppose you could say what your business is here in our fair little village? You all seem quite heavily armed for travelers.
Yes, we've just come from Mordan. We slew wyvern and like, so we are on our way to the Society Quadratica, and or rather yes, I got that right for once. Holy shit. We're on our way to the Society Quadratica for my friend here, and I'll kind of point to Bart, who's been invited, and we're stopping, just rest, recover, re-up on supplies. We'll be gone before you know it.
The what do you call it? The just gotta put these out. Okay. Squish horse. Big fucking horses. Forgot about these guys.
The giant fucking horses.
Oh wow,
Well,
they
they're
are.
the massive
Literal
fuck-off
mammoth
horses.
Literal mammoth horses.
We had to get
Did we
two
ever-
mammoth horses to pull this gigantic fucking wagon. Also, by the way, when the guard was looking up and down, I was gonna say also, Kario will look at him and go, Do not worry, my little friend. Size is not everything. This is just where we keep all of our supplies.
Shut up. Just shut up.
God damn it.
I throw Karya off the fucking.
I don't think you have the strength to do
Who says I'm
that.
using my own
Heavy.
strength to do it? Who says I'm using?
The
strength?
capybara throws you off anyway. So the other guard he's sort of leaning up against the fence that's here by this house, as he's taking a step back, looking you up and down, saying, "Well, this one's a fancy, important one, isn't he? Coming through our little village to go to the Society of all things. More Donnie, no less. My. As the what do you call it? The other guard goes, Richie, hush. I simply have to ask that while you're within the village limits, you'll find no prejudice and no segregation. We will not ask you to leave, but I would ask that you keep any weapons bound and pacified while you are here. We are a simple village. We are simply flower gardeners. We want no trouble."
I believe we can manage that.
Then I think we'll be okay.
But can
Though
our cart manage that?
that is an excellent question. As he looks over to the merchant hawking his goods and goes, "There's no wide enough path. Oi, Gordo!" As he looks over as he shouts over, what's called up a your ass? Move your feckin' cart, it's in the way. Ah, fine. As the gnome by himself grabs the back of the cart and starts trying to push it out of the way, out of the road.
Someone go help him.
Yeah,
We're causing him issues, so one of us should help him.
Did you see him? He parked halfway on the road. It's his fault anyway.
I appreciate your kindness, Mr. Guard, but Karya, go.
Running over.
I gotta back it up. Okay, I guess I gotta throw this shit in reverse. I'm not parking this thing in here. We don't have any place to put this fucking thing.
Doesn't matter. Go help him move the cart and come back, because you're the only one who can.
I guess I could lift up the cart.
Yes, you
could.
could.
Probably lift that cart with one fucking arm. Okay.
Go.
Would you say that this cart weighs over 5,000 pounds?
No, I would not say that. I'd say it's a little rinky-dink wooden cart with a bunch of flowers on the back. It's not going to trouble you.
No. Oh, I thought he meant us to move our cart.
No. This one, the one that's in the way.
I was so ready to move
Mallory, are you just grabbing the front of the cart and pulling it?
Yeah,
I'm attaching it to Esmeralda.
Ah, okay. Yes. Mallory just kind of trots over, hitches up the cart to Esmeralda's saddle while everybody else is talking, and then Esmeralda takes 2 trots and pulls it off the road.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna look at Karya with slack jawed and go, did you think I meant this cart?
Yes, I was.
Surely not.
No, I was quite confident that I could move this.
Hello, breaking the fourth wall.
Idiots.
Hello, breaking the fourth wall. We'll say you literally have like a 16 and 8 in intelligence. How?
Because I could move this cart.
How did you not know to go move the other?
Karya's
Look,
the kind of person where, if someone asks him directions, he'll go, "It's that way," and flex while he's pointing.
Listen, my wisdom is my
Grab-
lowest. My intelligence is pretty high, but my wisdom is pretty low.
grabs what's his name? What's your character's? No, not Vair. What's your character's name again? I forget.
Karya?
Hello.
No, Wei.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Grabs Holo's head and points it back in towards the correct wall, not fourth wall. Come on.
No, I want back. No.
Oh.
One finger comes
God.
from the sky and then just pushes you back into your place.
Thank you. Continuing on.
Anyway, so yes, the guard looks back at you and says, "Well then, now that is sorted, please enjoy your time within the village. It's we are a simple place. We do our best for in terms of hospitality that we can."
Welcome to Whiterun.
You get to the Cloud District often? Of course you don't.
I immediately smite
I
him.
I feel an immediate grudge towards that one guard.
Yeah, no,
We have no Cloud
I-
District.
I-
We have no nobility. We are an anarcho commune.
We're a narco-syndicalist commune.
You see, we are the ones with the means of stabbing. We have seized them. Anyway,
Holo seeing a sickle and a hammer on the barrel nearby. Huh.
You see the sky become red.
you hear trumpets in the somewhere off in the distance. Anyway, so there's not a lot of there is not a lot of space to store your wagon. Unfortunately, the carriage house that the inn has is normally made for less overstated transport, but if you can perhaps park yours off to the grass that way, then if you are ready to depart, you may simply hitch up and leave. Thank you very much. As he will then step to the side and once more, we call it, assume a sort of semi-relaxed but wary stance.
Well, I suppose I will do that. I will I'll move the cart off, and I'll kind of have everybody else. I'll turn to the others and go, I can handle the parking and everything, and frankly, I believe I should probably be the last one to enter anyways, as I have discovered in recent days that my presence alone is, how do I say this?
Unnerving?
Intimidating. Yes, unnerving is a good one as well.
Yes,
Maybe cries in the
I
distance.
believe that's a good descriptor.
I will park the cart. Please make a good impression.
Okay.
Oh,
Do
Kari,
our
if you
best.
need to, I can.
Wonderful. So, Kari is parking the wagon. Everybody else is free to dismount.
I will climb out. Ooh.
Yes. The gnome is thanking you, Mallory. He's doffing his little pointy hat to you and offering you a beetroot in exchange for your service.
I will take the beetroot and I will feed it to Esmeralda because she did all the work.
It is a big beetroot, and Esmeralda takes a bite out of it, and obviously licking her lips seems to really enjoy it.
How much for
I like the help.
how much for more of that?
He digs through the back of the cart and continues, well, for a bushel, that will be 1 silver. If you just want a single beet, that's 2 copper.
How much is a bushel?
He reaches in, he grabs up, and there's just a handful that he's grabbed by the stem. It's like a collection of maybe like 6 or 7.
Right. I'll take a bushel.
He does that. He takes up a small length of twine, binds the stems together, and then reaches it up, holding one hand up. Unfortunately, you're still saddled up on Esmeralda, correct?
Yes, I can come down.
Yes, because he's a gnome.
Yeah. I
can't
assumed
move.
like to receive the radish, I would have had to come down in the first place.
Okay, fair. Yes, so you dismount. He holds up his hand, while also holding up the bushel in the other.
I will hand him the 1 silver piece. Luckily, I converted a couple hundred into every single coin type, so I don't have to do any conversions.
Wonderful. As he takes the shiny silver, he rubs it against the tip of his nose, puts it in his pocket, and hands you the bushel of. And he says, "Those are my prized sugar beets. Your darling horsey will really love those."
That's good.
In the end, if at some point you need something to sweeten your tea, all you gotta do is put those in a pot, boil them, and you'll have some nice sugar to use.
Oh no, he said tea.
I will keep that in mind. Wait, what about tea?
Siren.
Oh, right.
Siren upside down crab walks like the grudge towards Mallory. No, I'm kidding.
Sugar for my tea. Yes. Well, yes. He tells you about the very simple method of distilling sugar from sugar beets.
Yes. Oh, I need to be right back.
Okay.
Oh no.
Right.
I like to
So.
help.
Mhm.
I would like to help out. Help anyone who's still in the cart off the cart.
Okay.
Including Dragon.
I
Although,
don't think about-
admittedly, the image went through my head. I can help Vark out. I can help Kari. I can help Siren out. Then I think about Vair and go, I'm gonna get crushed by that, aren't I?
Vair
Well,
Vair
Vair-
extends a single wing, which he places into your hand, and you help him dismount like a lady off of a carriage.
Yeah, he's,
yes,
he's
thank you.
very cordial with you.
Oh my
We
god.
have manners in the north.
Getting-
So where are yours?
Quick question.
Dragon Red.
I didn't say
Where
they
are
were good-
yours?
I didn't say they were good manners, bro. I just said they were manners.
Quick question. Getting off of the car, do we see anything like a stall selling a fuck ton of flowers or anything like that?
I mean, all over the place. This is a local. This is a village. Most stuff is really just sold out of people's front yards. If the only exception to that is the gnome in the center of the village selling it out of the back of his cart.
I see. I know what I want to do, but I'm not gonna outwardly ask the villagers themselves. But do you think any of these flowers could have like any alchemical or potion use?
Typically speaking, not especially. Because most of these flowers are just wildflowers. They don't have a particular like alchemical strength to them. I mean,
Did little Susie accidentally pick up a nightshade?
but there are specific flowers like nightshade or poppies or something like that that have known and particular uses. But in this case, it's like daisies and daffodils and various wildflowers like that.
I thought this was just a wide variety of just all of flowers in general, not just wildflower. Okay, but still, I'll go from stall to stall though, or like house to house, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
look
you
'em over.
wander around the village, have a look around.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the wagon is parked.
Forget.
The horses kind of wander off into the forest a little bit to go graze. And they're unhitched.
We need to name those horses at some point.
I'll do it. I'm the one who intimidated them at the beginning.
Tim and Eric.
Tim and Eric.
But
Ebony and Ivory.
Tiny Tim,
No, stop it.
Tiny Tim, and
Stop.
Enormous Eric.
Lunch
Everything.
meat and provision box.
That's
Rex and
good.
Cody.
I don't like considering them as storage. I don't know. I don't like the implications of that.
Of what? What storage? I'm back.
Of naming the horses as
Lunch meat and provision
storage
box.
compartments. Yeah, I don't like the idea.
Because
Can we
we
call them-
fasten.
I mean, if you're gonna have
both
one as
of them
emergency
apart.
food, you can always just call him Tauntaun.
That's true.
Oh no, that's his name, Ton and Ton. Like, but it's spelled differently for you. Like Ton and Thahn, Ton and Ton.
Well,
Something
before
you
we get
can, something you guys
sidetracked-
can consider later for now.
Yeah, I was supposed to say before we get super sidetracked trying to name these fucking things.
Wait, so you haven't named the horses yet?
Apparently
No,
not.
Horses do not have names.
Apparently not.
Dang.
Slight note in Mallory's voice of wow. Just wow.
Wow.
Disappointment.
Wow.
Animals that have no name have no purpose.
So yeah, you're Holla, you go about perusing the what do you call it, the flower boxes and the village. As so far, it doesn't seem like there's like a market or anything. Really, if they were selling, they would be. If they opened up a market stall, they would be selling to literally a bunch of other flower farmers. So they don't really have so much of a market. The gnome himself has something that sets him apart in that he sells produce. But you do see people cultivating. Oh, didn't do that. Why is that? That's strange.
The flowers warp force.
In general,
Yes.
anything.
We got the hit a button by accident. Yeah, the best you could think of maybe would be that they're preparing them for export.
Let's see. But just anything that's eye catching really doesn't actually have to be just flowers. Anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're coming up the road there, and you see the that wild-haired looking boy talking to the young woman by that patch of sunflowers. You see him just sort of leaning over the railing, running a hand through his hair as he chats to her in a low voice, as she just kind of stands there awkwardly. Not really, very obviously her eyes. Oh, actually, no, not very obviously to you. She's just standing there. Her eyes are going back and forth, and she's not saying anything back to him.
Oh boy. Beautiful. But yeah, can I even hear what he's saying, or is he just?
You're getting closer. You can kind of understand it, but it's obviously he's just trying to keep it between him and her.
Yeah.
As you grow a little bit closer, here he's kind of got that low, kind of breathy chuckle that he's every once in a while as he's just kind of talking without interruption. Chaiko. 1 second.
Huh?
1 second. As you pass by there, this young woman stands up from where she's knelt down picking flowers. As she comes over to you and says, "Welcome to Patalo," as she pulls a wreath of flowers out of the basket she's holding, and then very gingerly places it. Are you currently a human or fox form?
Fox, always fox.
Okay,
Default.
well, in this case, the wreath of flowers she puts atop your head, and it just sort of sits between your ears.
Thank you, young one. How much is this wreath?
No, nothing. These flowers grow free within the village. They are for everybody.
Yes, but it surely takes time and skill to put them together in such a wonderful wreath, no?
But I enjoy it so much, I couldn't possibly answer. Please, so long as it has brightened your day, that is all the payment I require. And she then
This town eats people.
she
Sorry.
curtsies to you and then continues walking. As she walks, just as she's going, she's already like with her hands by the wrist. She's holding up the basket, but with both hands, she's already like knotting together more flower stems. She gives you a bright little smile over her shoulder as she continues walking away.
Well, Aiko will nod back and say, what a nice young fella. Like young fella.
Young fella.
We don't discriminate here.
Young
Feller.
lady.
Little do you know that was did you know that was actually like Haku, the whole flower picking scene? It was actually a boy.
I knew it the entire time.
Yes.
I'm
Karia,
sorry. I just have such. I feel so bad. These people are so nice, but in the back of my head, I'm like, they eat people, dude. They
Well,
have
actually,
to. I don't know what to do.
That's what I was gonna say. As that conversation or that interaction was going on with Chaiko, and Siren passes by behind Chaiko, could she do a possible sense motive?
you
on
absolutely may.
the lady? Okay.
I'm sorry, Tabby. I didn't mean to do right.
I sent this to Frey, but I
Okay.
swear we're probably about to get Wicker Man.
This is about to become midsummer.
Your paranoia feeds me. Anyway,
I like this town.
Siren, as far as you can tell, she just wanted to share the joy with the newcomers in her village. As a matter of fact, you see one of the very same wreaths sitting on the head of this silly young boy over here.
Okay, and that's actually my next point is, let's see if I am...
Bark and Chaiko, you see what looks to be a young gnome woman conversing with one of the guards. They're just standing in a patch of flowers talking. Before this obelisk, obviously some sort of shrine which has got offerings of flowers and baskets positioned in front of it. you see what's clearly a priest of some sort, standing as if possibly in reflection.
Now here's where I comment. Now here's where I want to do something funny.
One last thing. At the three of you, as you're passing by that gate, you see this older gentleman here. He's got a pipe clamped between his teeth, and as the three of you are passing by, he just gives you a nod, takes the pipe out of his mouth as a sort of almost a salutation, pops it back in his mouth, and his attention goes back to just surveying the rest of the village. As you were saying, Checo.
I'll very gingerly take the wreath off my head and inspect it. Not because I sense anything, but just kind of I haven't seen a flower crown in a while. I just want to see how they tied it together.
Okay. Can you give me a knowledge nature?
Sure can. And I oop.
Yeah.
Hello.
Did you just say "and I oop"? What?
Amen.
What the fuck?
Well, you oof your way into seeing that these flowers are. Yes, the flowers there specifically seems to be a mixture of a couple of chrysanthemums and mostly peony flowers.
Well,
Shades of white and
I guess I'll
purple.
just put it back. I guess I'll just put it back on my head.
They are intricately twisted into four-corner knots. Almost looking like Celtic braids. Yes, it sits in a perfect circle
Vark is
between your ears.
obsessively staring at the braid.
Weird to see it, Bart.
Can I have one as well?
Sure. Come with me.
He wants to feel beloved.
Yeah.
Aw.
I guess I'm just gonna make my way. Make my way back over to the young lass. Vark follow. Excuse me, young miss.
Oh.
I go
Oh,
call out.
please! Like I said, you don't have to offer me any sort of compensation. It's perfectly fine.
Well, I'm very much aware of that. My friend here, move to the side. My friend here, he would like the crown too, if you don't mind.
She looks as you step aside. She looks to see the dusky-skinned man standing behind you. Kind of brings up the hand that's not holding the basket up to sort of to cover her mouth a little bit as you hear a small titter from her. She goes, "Oh, he seems a bit shy. All right, well, if that's the case." As she then comes,
Small, awkward wave.
as she
Reading.
she strides right up to you, comfortable as can be, producing a flower crown out of the basket, and with her free hand, very gently puts it on top of your head, and gives you a smile like a summer day. And then she says, "You two have fun now. You look very cute together." And she then steps away.
Good.
Slowly turn to Vark.
You match.
Vark has taken off the flower crown
Mhm.
and is holding it in his hand. And again, he's staring at this thing like it's the most magnificent mystery he's ever conceived. You can even tell his hands are shaking from up close.
The flower stems are knotted into what seems to be almost like these intricate Celtic knots that twist around each other and lock and create a perfect circle of a flower crown.
These people are from the Society Quadratic, aren't they?
Mhm.
There's no way a circle's that perfect.
I'll have you know that the circle is the most natural shape in nature.
Then draw one.
That's not natural.
No, drawing isn't natural.
Make the natural. Make it.
Actually,
I
the
present
most
to you
natural-
a drop of water. As far as the most
Most
natural
natural
shape for
shape.
animals to create is a hexagon.
Mm,
Bees.
Yes.
the most natural shape is a square. Have you seen Minecraft?
Ah, yes, you're right.
Uh,
But then I must correct your correction because that is cubes.
Before
right.
time began,
Correct.
there
Correct.
was the cube.
It's 6 squares.
I'm thinking in
attached
3
together.
dimensions. Anyway, yes, the entire village turns into Minecraft. Congratulations.
nah.
As the
Sitting
as
down.
the flower girl, previously so warm and beautiful, turns around, her nose now 5 times the size, as she says, "Huh."
Quick, take the crops.
I
entire
asked if she
roll
has
for
any
each.
emeralds.
She presents you
God
2 sticks.
Oh my god.
Look what you did.
She presents you
Oh,
2
it's like I
sticks,
never left.
2 sticks, and a book of mending level 2. Anyway,
and also a piece of bread.
Oh,
Ah,
so
yes.
she's
With a
a
flower crown in his
librarian.
hand.
I'll let you know that one piece of bread is at least worth 3 emeralds to them.
Yes.
With a flower crown in his hand. Still staring at it. Goes, Aiko,
Yes.
this is beautiful. And it turns to her. Am I beautiful? They put it on.
You better answer correctly.
I
Just
Aiko's gonna put a hand to her head and go. She's gonna break character and go. Oh dear. Oh.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
a little voice in your head says, "You're not just beautiful, you're beloved."
Oh.
Oh.
She'll clear her throat, going back into character. Var, that's not a question you should ask me. I have the right words to articulate that.
Daria! Am I beautiful?
I'll look as
There
I'm
you go.
wrapping up.
Just
words
the
all
man
over.
the man over here is just like, "What the fuck is going on over there?"
I'll look over. I'll kind of poke up as Karya hears Vark shout for him. Immediately reach for his weapon for a second, then look, analyze the words. He'll look over to Vair, look back to Vark, and go, "As beautiful as the sunrise cresting over the mountains, my friend."
Vair
Back
just
to wrap
hisses
up.
and goes, "Get married."
No bitches.
No,
Yes,
bitches.
Yes.
Side
I-
eye.
Aiko,
It's just like Vair shaking his head. When you get this curse purge, he's starting to lose his mind.
He's starting to
I-
lose his fucking mind.
Aiko.
Yes.
Sorry. Out of character.
Yeah,
Aiko, you're closest to him.
I am.
There's a
Yes.
faint blush on his cheeks.
It's a light it's a light shade of dark purple.
Aw.
Oh my god.
Aiko, in character, is going to go. Put both hands to her face and go. Oh.
Just the guard strides over, puts a hand on your shoulder, Aiko, and says, "I'm sorry, lass. It's rough having the one you love taken away from you. He is a very big, strapping lad. He's just halfway choking through laughter. He's trying hard to hold it back, but he can hear it, and it's in the tremble of his hand on your shoulder."
Draconian breed, unmatched.
I will say now, he's not blushing because of that. But obviously, there's no way this can be taken in. There's no way.
Hmm.
We'll
And he
return
will-
to the garden and say. I appreciate your concern, Mr. Guard, but that's not the issue here. Just, I'm gonna.
It's okay, I know it's a
It's
confusing time in your life.
An exaggerated scientist. I'm done with this. I'm moving on.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm done with
done,
this
I'm
bit.
done.
I'm done with this bit.
You two,
Well-
you two get a room. I'm gonna talk to someone else.
I
I'm going
I
somewhere.
just remembered something. So this little gnome over here sells produce, right?
Yes.
Does he sell melons?
Melons?
Melons.
Bit tropical, isn't it?
Also, real quick, I will be right back.
Okay.
Maybe
A bit
not-
tropical,
maybe
innit?
not necessarily.
I would say
Or-
so. As far as what he's got to sell, he's got a few things. He's got some tomatoes. He's got some citrus fruit, if you're looking for that. He's got what do you call it? He's got olives and garlic and beets, but no melons.
No
I'm
man.
gonna melons. Holoho's gonna look at him and
Oh,
he's
but
gonna
he
say,
one other thing that he does quite pride himself on. He says if you're in the market for something a little more luxurious, is he offers a box of what looks to be deep purple grapes.
Ooh.
Royal
much?
grapes.
"How much for these?"
Oh, well, it depends how much you want.
The whole box.
Oh, okay. Wow. Someone with money here. In that case, kind of thinks 10 gold for the box.
I'll give him 15.
Yeah, he hefts the box over to you. You can like hold it by like nestling it under an arm if you want. Still, it's heavy enough that holding it with two hands yourself isn't unreasonable. But for him, it's like he hefts it, basically shoves it into your hands, takes the 15 gold, and he says, "Oh, pleasure doing business with you." As he then stuffs it into his coin pouch.
And then I'm gonna. Holoho's gonna whistle, like do a little finger whistle,
Mhm.
and call over to Pappy since he's gonna put the box on the floor for them to eat out of.
Oh,
As they come trotting over, you see the grapes. Look up to the gnome, and the two of them just shove their heads into the box and start eating the grape stem and all. As he
my
looks
God,
down
eating
and
noises.
he just he just looks from the capybaras to you, goes, and then he looks down to his coin pouch and he shrugs and goes, all right.
All
Yes.
that hard work just to be eaten.
Yeah, it's just like all these prime luxury grapes just eaten by a couple of animals, and then he goes, wait, I got 15 gold out of this. It's all right.
And then Holoho's gonna look down. Are they any good?
The Paka does not pull his head out of the box. He's just gorging himself, whereas Lolo, now with a thick mat of juice sogged fur around her mouth, comes up, sort of doing that that chewing motion that ungulates tend to do, or that cud chewing motion where it's like the jaw works sideways. She goes,
Yeah.
because capybaras also do that, because they're herbivores and they grind their food, as well as having the buck teeth. But yes, she's kind of grinding the stems and the berries, or the grapes between her teeth, as juice kind of like dribbles out from between her lips. She goes, she's silent for a moment, then looks up at you and goes, "It's probably the best thing I've eaten in a very long time. Like, these are sweet. These are really sweet."
He'll look like a book over at the gnome. Do you have another box of these?
No, that was everything. That was my stock. Those were technically meant for making wine, but well, you offered or you asked. I didn't think you'd buy the whole box though. That's a lot of money.
How long until you're back in stock?
12. Whenever the next merchant comes through, or when I grow my next crop. My vineyard's still coming up in season. They're not all fully. That was just the first harvest when the first ones got nice and ripe and juicy. I mean,
I'll hand him another gold. When mid conversation, buy me another box next time.
oh, okay. When are you gonna be here again? Because my next harvest's gonna be like in a week or something. I'm expected to have like 3 times that much by the time a week passes.
I'm gonna yell over towards. Do I see Steeren or anyone or Kari or anyone?
Alright, still over like getting the carriage like secured in place, the chocks down, all that. Siren's here with Chaiko. Very red in the face Chaiko.
Hey, oi. It's not red. It's. I'm just
Scarlet?
tired of this trip already. No.
I would have thought that
it's
you.
just
I
exhaustion.
thought it was embarrassment.
A smidgen. A
smidgen.
good smidgen.
A smidgen. I see.
Slightly
It's-
embarrassed.
Methinks the fox doth protest too much.
Oh lordy.
I'll take your word on it. You see a very miffed Chaiko.
Holo's gonna shout towards them. Hey, Steeren! Just like very, just suddenly.
Just barks.
Arrested. We've been here for 10 minutes and we are already causing a scene.
You already caused a scene.
Yeah, I don't know these
Already.
people. I just happened to come across the same path.
I don't know these people.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Um,
I never touched that cargo. I never touched that fucking behemoth thing.
Siren looks up at Holo and goes, yes.
Can we come back here in a week?
Well, I suppose so. It's not only up to me. It depends on what we need to do, what we need to go. But if we can, sure, why not?
I'll try to see you in a week.
Okay.
As I'm next to Siren, I'll slowly take off the crown and just put it on her head.
You now have a circlet of peony flowers.
Very nice.
Your head is wreathed
Vark,
in
is
white
that-
and purple.
Aww.
Vark is
Oh.
admiring himself in the reflection of the pond.
Beneath the
I'll look.
beneath the slightly
Hello,
murky
Narcissus.
beneath the slightly murky surface of the water, between the lily pads and with the translucent half image of fish dancing and darting around beneath the water, rippling in the almost still pond, you see your face, lightly blushed, staring up at you with the clear blue sky behind you. And sitting atop your head is a bright crown of flowers. Yes.
We need a flower crown now on his
Yeah.
PNG.
That would be nice. You see, his Discord image is him with white hair, but now this is his white hair version with flowers we're going to get. Yes, must
Yeah,
plot.
I'm gonna,
But
I'll look over to my ear during this whole fucking flower crown shenanigans and go, so, do you want a flower crown, brother?
Bayer considers that for a moment. One of his tongue just kind of darts out from his mouth, occasionally tasting the air. I think I'd like that.
Oh. I see. I was joking.
I don't know. People seem to be
Yeah.
enjoying themselves here. And considering everything we've been through up until this point and how short life seems to be, I thought, why not?
Huh.
That's something I wanted to do.
Okay. I just wanted to say one more thing. As Vark, as you're admiring yourself in the water, just through the ripple, it could be a trick of the eye, but you could swear you see one slim hand with fingernails painted in rose red gently run a finger across the flower crown atop your head, and then it's gone, like a ghost in the light.
Man.
Wait, what? Hold on. Run that by me again?
Yeah, I don't like fingers touching my reflection in the water.
Well,
I'm
Vark would
assuming it's
recognize
his-
the hand.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yes.
That was-
You would
Yeah,
recognize
I
that
was
as being
like,
the same shade of fingernail polish that, well, your mentor
Don't have
used to
to.
paint her nails with, Lydia. Yes. But yes, Yes, so Vair, who is currently lounging in the back of the wagon as you're like putting the chocks under the wheels and stuff, as he's like kind of considering whether or not he should even step out of the wagon. But he says, well, you know, I wouldn't mind it, because honestly, this is probably the nicest place we've been to, you and me. I don't know about the others, but you and me, I think we should live a little. We talked about not wanting to be like the other dragons and stuff like that, and well, the other dragons are too proud to lift things up. I understand if you're a big manly man and you're too good for flowers on your head, but
I'm not too good for flowers on my head. It's just it's hard to relax.
I get what you mean. Every time things seem like they're good, it's often too good to be true.
Just realized, are these like just essentially just like hakules or something like that?
Glass? Oh,
Yeah.
you mean like
Flower
the...
crowns.
Yeah,
Hawaiian flower crown.
yeah. Yeah, like that. Just not... what do you call it? It's not with Hawaiian flowers. It's,
Yeah.
more like Mediterranean wildflowers. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
not unlike that. Though I believe that
Creating his culture.
I believe the hakules put more of an emphasis on putting like the flowers facing in one direction and more towards like where the front of the head would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this case, it's just even all the way around.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But the point I was just gonna make is that I think to Holo Holo this is just kind of familiar.
Yeah, just different kinds of flowers for you.
Yeah.
Yes, Siren had something she wanted to do.
Yeah, this is a while back when Hala Hala was noticing the two people over here whispering to each other. I wanted to just use wind-carried voices to see if I could discern
Okay.
whispers up to 30 feet away, see what they were talking about.
Okay. Well, say they were talking about anything would be a little misleading. The conversation is decidedly one-sided. Does the... I forget, does the trait list you need to make any roll of some sort, or you just hear them?
It says, according to my sheet, wind-carried voices +1 a sense motive to discern lies and whisper up to 30 feet away.
Okay. In that case, give me a sense motive.
Okay.
Man, y'all ever been in a
that'll
nice village before?
That would be a 15.
Okay. As you listen in, and what you're hearing is... well... Models frozen. There we go. As you listen to it, honestly, not to be presumptuous, but I think overall, it's a conversation that would kind of make you curl and cringe inwardly. As you see this sort of bronze-skinned man with this this long hair that he sort of got swept towards the front, and loose hanging clothing, and obviously bits of jewelry here and there. Very much got this sort of rackish look to him, as this farm girl who's just enjoying a nice bread roll is standing there, back up against the door, obviously uncomfortable but unwilling to try and excuse herself from the conversation for fear of seeming rude to the guest in her village, as this man or boy is just doing a really shit job of chatting her up. As he's got that sort of he's kind of like, occasionally he's sort of like, he brings his hand up to his forehead and runs his fingers all the way through his hair. You see occasionally he sort of like runs his tongue across his top teeth, and every once in a while you just kind of hear him kind of go yeah, so I'm like this really big time adventurer, and you just got done like killing a bunch of goblins and saving some people, and it's just like I just thought like you're like really cute and stuff, so
Okay.
So only Siren hears this, correct?
You're the Siren is the only one currently hearing all of this. Overall, it's a very quiet conversation. He's speaking in a very hushed tone. That could just be because he's mumbling, but
I can see his
But-
body.
he's-
his
yeah,
body
but-
language.
Hold on.
you can
hold
see
on.
you got to
I
see his
had
body
something.
language with a sense motive. But overall, Siren, the vibe with your sense motive check you're getting from this guy is primo e-boy fuckboy kind of.
Yeah.
vibes.
He is-
So Siren using the wind to catch this conversation and the vibe, she will turn to Chaiko and say, could you follow my lead? And
Sure, I guess.
she'll approach kind of like casually, but also do the best to seem like, excited to see like her friend that she hasn't seen in a long time, and regard this young girl and say, "Oh, my friend, it's been such a long time. I was hoping I could visit you. I'm glad I caught you here. Oh my, I've missed you so much." And then I'll turn to the young man and say, "Could you excuse us? I have not seen my friend in such a long time. I'd like to have a bit of a private conversation with her."
Okay, I'm gonna do 2 rolls. I'm gonna ask for a. I'm gonna just say a diplomacy check on your part to try and get this across to him.
Okay.
And I'm gonna roll a sense motive for her, and I'm gonna roll a sense motive for him.
Oh boy. Okay.
Like, what's your name,
Well,
bruh?
this is interesting. What's your name, bruh? Hey, girl.
Yes.
That's a.
That's 12.
Listen, I'm trained in diplomacy, but that's a 12.
Sometimes the dice aren't kind. Okay. I'm not gonna say what they rolled just yet. I might say it after the whole conversation, but we'll leave it up to mystery for now.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So, the girl knits her eyebrows at first when you come up and say, "Oh, hey, my friend, it's been so long." And the boy himself kind of like pushes himself back a little bit from where he's kind of, I would say, leaning up against the fence, but it's more like he kind of slumped himself over it in an effort to try and look cool and relaxed. Very obviously put on. As he kind of looks you up and down, the way his eyes move is not kosher. You immediately just feel a sort of trill run up from your feet to your up your spine. The way
Is
he's
he trying to intimidate me?
no, he's
don't
eyeing
think
he's
so.
eyeing you up like a piece of meat.
I see.
As
Can
the-
I-
As his eyes
can
go
I
up to you
give
and say,
him-
one second. As the girl sees you and says, "Oh, yes, you've been away for so long. Please come in." As she motions through the fence gate, she says, "And you too." As she motions to Chaiko as she sees you two are kind of walking together. Says, "Oh, it's been so long since I've seen you two. Please come in. We must have tea together. I'm very sorry, but we were. I've been waiting for them to come back for so long, and I don't get to see them very often." So, and the boy kind of steps away from the fence as his expression doesn't change very much, but you kind of get the feeling that he is kind of trying to seem cool, but in doing so just seems to not really change his facial expression very much.
Yeah.
As he kind
I
of
would like to sense motive.
that's sense motive then. As he kind of steps back and he goes like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I can." As he looks, he like gestures between you two and goes, "Yeah, like we definitely don't want to interrupt you two lovely or 3 lovely ladies as you're like getting together." He says like, "If don't forget, like if you want, like my indoor is always open." As he then kind of sort of steps away, as he gives that sort of with 2 finger guns.
As he does that to step away, can I give him like completely 180 shift from my cheerful, happy demeanor and give him the most serious look, like a mother who's
intimidate.
about to scold someone?
Roll intimidate.
And
Okay.
Chaiko, yeah, this guy's just fucking awkward. He doesn't. He thinks he's coming across as cool and suave, but really he's a fucking pretender.
I was like, this is gonna be the role. This is gonna be the big kahuna. That's a 5.
Now he's gonna think you're hitting on him. Good job.
You say that. Siren, or at least Chaiko,
Oh.
with that sense motive, you see Siren kind of 15 seduction, yes. Yes, Chaiko, with your sense motive, you're kind of keeping a kind of look at the overall conversation with this. You see, you know that Siren is trying to give him that sort of disapproving big sister, like, I will burn your house down if you bother my sister again kind of look. Instead, she has the thing she does sometimes where in trying to seem intimidating, she looks like a puppy dog. Her eyes go big, they glisten in the sunlight. She puffs her cheeks out a little bit. She stamps her feet. Her hands come out to her sides a little bit in that sort of huffy kind of way. For overall seeming more cute than intimidating, and the fuckboy kind of backs off, kind of turns the finger guns on you, Siren, and goes, and hey, if you want to come with if you want to bring your friend as well, then yeah, for sure. As he continues
I
striding
felt
away.
sick. Oh.
I'll say I would like to speak up.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say to Mr. Fuckboy before he goes too far and go. Excuse me, sir. Please, next time you come back, please learn to read the room, please.
As he turns around, I'm gonna roll something for him.
I hope he fucking tries something. I truly
Oh,
do.
he's trying something.
He leans against
it
the
is-
fence, misses,
it
and
is-
falls in a pelham.
No, he's definitely trying something. It's a daily task for him, and that is using his brain. As he looks around and goes, "We're outside."
Oh my god.
As he just kind of continues tottering away.
I turn to Chaiko, kind of do like
Man is
a-
more
like a
hormones than
hand.
brain.
Oh.
My God, I turn to Chaiko and kind of
Love
do
ass.
that thing where you put your hand up like a wall, and I whisper to her, "Don't worry. If he comes back around, I have a plan B, and the plan B is literally just," and points to Vair and Karya.
You see, I have something quicker, easier, and more result-giving. Can I just?
Pull out a
Can I
gun.
just? No. Well, I could.
No,
do
you're not
that.
allowed to do that.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Can I just
Yeah.
kind of do a flash of electricity through my hand? To my.
No.
No, listen. A flash of electricity, like this, a pulse of electricity, in my hand. It doesn't go anywhere. It does not leave my hand. Just, just a little spark.
Okay.
So that
There's a little snap
Like-
of electricity going between your fingers, and the girl brings up a hand to her mouth and goes, "Oh my!"
You know, knowing him, he might enjoy that. But regardless,
We don't know
can I-
him.
She sort of gives you a small curtsy, and she says, "Thank you very much for the timely help. You don't mind me asking, who are all of you?"
Siren,
Chaiko
you
and
first.
Oh.
You're the one who wanted to do this, so you introduce yourself
Yes,
first.
yes. Oh, I understand. Yes, my name is Siren. This is my friend here. Allow her to introduce herself as she wishes. But I couldn't help but watch the situation and feel empathy and sympathy for you. I couldn't allow it to continue any longer.
Oh, well, and she turns to Chaiko and allows her to introduce herself.
Hello, my name's Aiko. First things first, I'm truly sorry that my friend here interrupted on something that I don't know if you enjoyed it. More than likely you didn't, but we weren't too sure. And secondly, I'm very sorry for showing you something you might not have, that might have spooked you, that electrical shock earlier.
Yes, it's we don't often get magic in this far out. It's not that we don't It's not that there's any sort of stigma to it. It's just it's a rare sight, and sudden electricity is a well, it's sudden. I thank you all for your help. I had it firmly in grasp. The man is perhaps dumber than the bread roll in my hand, but well, I've always been one for manners, and I didn't want to be outwardly rude to him. I didn't want to shatter the poor boy's reality. But thank you all the same. Aiko and Siren. My name is Ramilia, and my father and I own this little sunflower farm of ours. She gestures over to the man, just sort of rooting through and sorting through some sunflowers. Being
How lovely.
this man over here.
Nice to meet you, Ramilia. Once again, I figured you'd have it under control, but my friend here is a very cautious type, so once again, I would like to ask for forgiveness for intruding.
It's perfectly all right. I can already tell you have more brains and empathy in your little finger than that young man did. And for that,
Doesn't want to be rude.
we are-
Insults him while he's gone.
Oh, insulting someone behind their back isn't insulting them to their face. That's perfectly polite.
Yeah.
As she says, for that, the village is 10,000 times more blessed by your presence than his. I thank you for coming here. It's quite timely.
If you don't mind me asking, I have a little question.
Oh, most certainly.
I am not from around here, obviously, but
clearly.
I'm able to tell that he's that person earlier, the person from before, is very much not from here either.
Yes. What was his name again? I was barely paying attention. Diego, I think. Diego. I honestly don't bother to care besides to warn others away from him. Diego, I think it was.
I see. Well, if it will make you feel better, while we're here, which won't be admittedly too long, we might be able to keep an eye on him. Definitely wouldn't be a hassle.
The innkeep has been trying to drive him out of town. He's been trying to woo anything with a pair of breasts and a vagina since he's gotten here, and he's avidly refused to leave. Even with the innkeep trying to to hike the prices specifically for his meals in his room, he still seems to find some way of scratching together some amount of coin so he can stick around and bother us. It's we'll find a way to deal with him. Don't you worry. He's simply stubborn.
Like my friend here said, we can keep an eye on him while we're here and just hope that some solution arises.
I should
and
hope so.
yes, I do also apologize for the intrusion. I couldn't bear to watch anymore.
Yes, it was an embarrassing spectacle. The only thing that possibly saved the dignity of the entire village was the fact that he had I don't even think he intended to, but he stayed quiet in the conversation, so at least nobody else had to hear it. But still, I thank you for your empathy all the same. Now, I can't offer much, but I could, if you wish, we could offer you a couple of sunflowers as for decoration. They are our family's primary production. We have plenty. She walks over and takes 2 large sunflowers and snaps them off before then stepping forward and saying, after all, the purpose of Patalo is for us to cultivate the beauty of the natural world and then to share it with the rest of the country. And I see no reason why a pair of lovely and also very heroic guests shouldn't benefit in the bounty of beauty that we have to share. As she then sort of gently slides the stem of the sunflowers behind each of your ears. or in Aiko's case, because rather than that, finds a fold in your kimono, and then slides it into it, so it kind of is tucked into your, so that the flower sort of sits on your over your left breast.
I see. We're ignoring that. Cool. We're ignoring that question.
Besides, you've already got flowers between your ears, so
Nope. I gave it to
right,
Siren, remember?
right. You gave it to Siren, yes. So Siren now has a sunflower tucked behind her ear and a flower crown.
Why, thank you. We
Thank
didn't
you very
really
much.
expect to require any reward, but thank you.
And you're all the nobler for it, as she gives you a small nod, but then says, "Well, I can say that you are the both of you, and I would hope your company." As she casts a look behind you through the rest of the village, will be a good fit for this village for however shortly you decide to stay here. And I hope you enjoy your time here. And if you're ever in the mood for just for a bit of conversation, well, my father and I are here. As she gestures over, and you see the man bent over, big sun hat on. Just kind of, you see one of his gloved hands pop out from between the sunflowers as he waves to you.
I'll wave back.
As will I.
Thumbs up, and then
Vark-
the hand disappears again.
Vark has, in the meanwhile, splayed himself out on back. He's laying on his back in the grass.
Aww.
Well,
Right,
if you'll excuse me, I'd like to excuse myself right for now.
She will
that's
nod.
why I believe we should return to our group.
She will not do the same. Please enjoy your time, and she will then step back, finishing the last of her bread roll, and then step back into.
Well, Siren, that was eventful.
Yes. By the way, I meant to not force you to come along. It was meant to be an open conversation. I couldn't help but notice that you noticed.
No, you're fine, you're fine. Just, despite how I may be, just interact with people isn't exactly what I like to do. I prefer to, stay within the group that I've already found, so...
I understand.
Alright.
Anywho, for the time being, I think we should probably go back to our group, else that, interesting person might find us alone and try something once more.
Yes, I agree.
So, Holo Holo just finished arranging grape prices. Paying for them in advance, I believe.
I take it Pac is like belly up, laying in like the little laying
He's
in
just
the
kind of
box.
lying in the box and sort of between a bunch of half-chewed grapes, some of them crushed underneath him, and like snapped in half grape stems. He's just kind of lounging in the box.
Mhm.
It's just a little groan of satisfaction coming out of his mouth, whereas Lolo is just kind of licking her chops and saying, can definitely like more of those.
Well, you hopefully have one in a week. Anyways,
A long wait.
there's a pond nearby if you two want to go lounge in that.
I'm gonna digest. Actually, no. Float sounds nice. As Lolo and Baka just kind of plonk into the river and then just float along. At one point, Lolo takes a little dive down, comes back up, and there's a lily pad resting on the top of her head. It just stays like that. Eyes closed, drifting along the water.
Beautiful. But yeah, Holo will continue walking around as well, just seeing what's going on.
Okay. Let's see. People that I have seen to the least are Mallory, Flick, and Aria. So I'm gonna say Mallory. What you up to?
Mallory is just looking around, just seeing the sights.
Okay. You're where you are currently. You're next to the communal village oven. The smell of freshly baked bread and what sounds like caramelized fruit, or what smells like caramelized fruit, wafting up from the chimneys and from the oven. Standing around the well seems to be a few nicer dressed individuals who are chattering with one another. And here, by the obelisk, is the what looks to be the town priest.
Cool.
So yes. Ah,
I will talk to the town priest, see what kind of god they serve. I want to see if they're heathens or not.
let's see if they've served the right god.
Yeah.
Well, as you approach the obelisk, you just see him there, sat upon one of the steps by the obelisk, with what looks to be a flower of some kind clutched in one hand, as he seems to be contemplating it. Sees you approaching, looks up, and says, "Hello, welcome to our humble village."
I forgot how to greet people in religious thingies. I'm gonna say hello, my brother in Christ. What are you doing?
My brother in Christ.
Say hello.
My brother in light.
Oh.
No, I will not say father.
Christ, yes.
Hello, my brother in everlasting servitude. How are you? And what are you doing?
Yeah, you get a little bit of an odd look because of that, but he nods and stands, placing the flower sort of in one of his pockets, so the bloom sticks out of it. He says, "I am simply contemplating on the bounty that the gods have bestowed upon us, as they do. Since the village is most fortunate, it is blessed with fertility. And I stand the vigil here by the shrine, making sure that our prayers reach the gods who so love us."
Well, all the other villagers seem to be quite busy and enjoying themselves. Isn't it a good time to relax a little bit?
Oh, but I am relaxing. I am sitting quiet in contemplation. For me, that is perhaps the most relaxing thing that I can do. I lose my mind within the manifold and everlasting glory that is nature's bounty.
Well, I can't say that that isn't something I can't relate to.
Oh, but
Pray tell, which gods do you serve, actually?
I serve the Gadsrich, the Gadsrich 3, as some call them. I profess that the one I serve in not preference but majority would be the Mother of Mercy, the oldest of the three siblings. I suppose, going by your accent and by your stature, as well as your resemblance, I could only assume that perhaps you are more attuned to the Lady of Light.
Guess correctly.
Your posture speaks of discipline and servitude and a certain military background. It is not uncommon for people in her service.
You read well for a priest.
I served for a good long time within the halls of the Gadsrich papacy. I even at one point prayed and aspired to walk the halls of the throne of the gods. But unfortunately, I was found wanting. Instead, now I serve as minister to this humble village. But in that time, I served alongside many other holy men, and I got to know quite a few strange individuals and people of different walks and different beliefs. You would be surprised to see how many interpretations there are of the Gadsrich doctrine, even with only 3 gods. 3 primary gods, I should say.
I'd believe that.
Then you are wiser than most. Many of the ones I met while chasing the steps up the mountain believed that their belief was the only way, or that it was fantasy that anyone could interpret it in a way that didn't align with their own beliefs. They thought that meant they were suited to a place of leadership within the religion. They were mistaken.
Well, everyone is privy to their own delusions,
Quite so.
and that's why the gods gave us free will.
The grand irony of the cosmos. We serve the
That's right.
gods, and yet we are given the will to not. And in doing so, or in choosing to serve despite that, we prove our loyalty and our love. He seems to go quiet for a moment. His eyes cast downwards. He then looks up at you and says, "No, I don't. You don't strike me as the sort to sit idle in contemplation like myself. I would invite you to sit upon these steps and pray with me, but you don't strike me as being a cloistered priest."
No, that isn't my forte.
We all have our place. As he kind of
I
gives
suppose-
a little rueful smile as he nods.
I suppose my place is best when enforcing the will of my god, my primary god.
Hmm.
But I see no need for that here. So, I suppose I should find a way to keep myself busy. Wait, are we staying for like an afternoon or like a few days?
I don't think anybody's actually solidified on a time to stay.
My understanding, we were originally just passing through. Considering that we literally just woke up and got here,
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
suspect we'd be staying here for more than like
Yeah.
at most we'll probably be here for a night.
Yeah, it's like
Oh.
early afternoon at this point, or even like it's late morning actually, considering. Yeah, so he says, "Well, it is still bright out. It is still early in the day, and I don't think you'll find a. It is a small village. We don't offer very much besides flowers and good conversation, if you're looking for that. But I think you'll be able to occupy yourself at least for an afternoon."
Yeah. And speaking of afternoon, I suppose it's time for lunch. And
Oh, if
where's
you're
the inn?
if you're looking for food, if you're looking for a warm meal, we do every morning and every afternoon we do bake in the oven behind you and that is shared among the village. But if you're looking for a proper meal, then he gestures over this way to this
Can you do
building.
that again?
To this building.
Ah, thank you.
And if you're looking for a proper meal, then the man and lady in charge will get you sorted. Be warned, there are strange types that have come passing through the village recently. Not threatening, but odd.
I'm also familiar with that.
You should have no problem.
Uh-huh. Well,
May
I'll
you,
be on my way then.
may you always walk in the light.
May you always walk in the light. And he will promptly, well, he'd first give Esmeralda the go-ahead to just idle and graze
Mhm.
somewhere nearby the pond. and then well, Schultz is always doing his own thing as if he isn't calling for him. So then he'd walk over to the inn.
Okay. Yeah, there's a fair amount of people idling in front. Obviously, this is where most of the travelers congregate. But you also see an older woman in a rocking chair and a middle-aged man speaking to her. Yeah. So if you were to go there, the inn man would be able to put you up for the night, or even just for a meal if you wish. Lunch goes for 4 coppers. That'll include drink as well.
Well, then I'll have some lunch.
Okay. You
Since
are.
we haven't directly discussed being there for a night, he's gonna put off getting a room.
The food's simple fare. You get some freshly baked bread cut into thick slices and put on a platter with various cuts of cheese and seasonal fruit.
Nice.
Yes. In England, that's referred to as a ploughman's lunch. But usually that includes some sort. Yeah. Usually that includes some sort of pickled vegetable, though. But here, you get more the Mediterranean style to it. So yeah, that scene too. Well, Mallory is now sitting down for lunch. Blake, what are you up to?
Funnily enough, Blick was also about to head over to the inn as well, or at least towards the direction of the inn. He's already passed by the 2 people behind him having a conversation, and he's about to pass this person on his right.
No. So yes. The man you're passing is definitely a standout individual. Sully was not wrong to kind of double take at him. His knuckles are covered in all sorts of tattoos. His exposed chest and his arms and his cheeks have scars. He's dressed in a fine silken shirt with a popped collar. Across that is a white sash, which is bound into a knot at the waist. Everything about this man speaks to your experience like he is a confident and seasoned duelist. As he sees you passing by, he's sort of leaned up with his. He sort of sat against the edge of the flower bed there. He sees you passing by. His arms are crossed in front of him. He's got what looks to be a dirk or something tied to his side, but no sword. Sees you walking by, eyes you up and down. You see a little appreciative smirk on his face as he gives you a nod of acknowledgement.
Like we'll give him a kind of nod in a reprise, and he'll kind of remark subtly, kind of say, a bit quietly, notice the ink there. Very interesting. Very nice.
Yeah. Brings up his knuckles. I'll actually throw the image up on Roll20 real quick to give you the full view of him. Oh, didn't do that. Yeah, make a... Oh, right. Did it on the wrong page. There we go. I'll make it a handout. File. Go. Save the changes. So it's finished uploading. Go. And show to players.
Humana.
Oh my.
Yeah, it kind of brings up the back of his right hand. Obviously showing off a little bit, turning it this way and that, and he says, "Oh, well, thank you for noticing."
I've not seen a lot of embroidery like that, or at least not often.
Well, it is commemorative. Yes, that would be the word for it. I. Hmm. The pattern was made in reminiscence of someone very important to me, and as such, it has great significance. The intricacy is matched only by the person it is resembling. But now, my decorations aside, and I'm very flattered that you noticed. Who are you? Looks you up and down, and then through the billowy robes, eyes you and says, "If I'm not mistaken, that bulge on your side is hopefully not what it might be. Is that a sword by your side?"
Buck would kind of drape back his or just kind of peel back his cloak and kind of adjust the positioning of his scabbard to show his sheathed rapier and say, "It is what it is. Probably what you're assuming it is."
He strokes his chin, nods, and then one moment, as he then, with the gloved hand on his left, "You show me yours, I'll show you mine."
From one traveling swordsman to another, why not?
This village is weirdly sexual.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Yes, as you, well, in that case,
Sword
do
play.
you draw your rapier?
If he's asking me to, then
Yes.
yes, I'll pull it out of the I'll pull it out of its sheath a little bit
Okay,
to
show
show him the blade.
a little part of the blade, a little bit of the first part of the etching, as he looks up and strokes his chin. Very, my, yes, that is a blade. As he looks over and goes, "Yeah, that's Nephilium. Very interesting." As he then, with a sort of a twist of his left hand where the glove is, motions, and a scabbarded small sword pops into his hand. Very obviously a dueling blade, that he then wraps his hands very slowly, almost sensually, around the leather-wrapped handle, and then pulls it partially from the scabbard, revealing a slightly broader, single-edged, curved blade within the scabbard. Is also see-through. Are you aware of
See,
the
we're
significant? Oh, please continue.
I see we're both fans of glassy blades.
Indeed. Are you aware of the significance of that blade you're holding?
Actually, if I could just recall this information, because I know Flick would try to. Were we told ton of the lore behind these blades? Because I believe we were, but I wasn't sure if it was in character.
Who believe you were?
I think Vark actually did a rundown of it back in the village.
If it wasn't Vark, it was a Fue. Or Holo
Mhm.
Holo.
So one of us did do a history. I remember the history check because I remember after the history check, I went, "Why the fuck were these in a troglodyte camp? Just sitting here." What? But yes, I believe we have the knowledge.
All right, but yes, Flick will relay. Why, as a matter of fact, yes, this is Blot, the Anger. Sword forged and created by a known, I think it was Ryder. It was. And he created these blades to spite his critics.
So, in fact,
Believe it or not, I found this all the way up in the north.
indeed.
Me and a friend of mine found blades just like this.
So, I see. That is interesting. To know that not one, but more than one of the master strokes, where the pens were found north, as you say. Are we speaking in Erdyne? Are we saying you found these somewhere, I don't know, in Green Hollow or Don?
North of Mordon.
North of... Found
We had
them
some
both.
nasty trouble with troglodytes, remorazes, hags up there. It was quite an event.
See. Lost to the wastes of the snowy north.
Somehow, it's still kind of racking my brain how these blades ended up there.
Mysterious indeed. That only makes the story behind them richer, don't you think?
This and the one my friend has, and he kind of motions a little vaguely towards Varg.
Towards Vark with his flower crown laying down in the
Yeah.
grass. As he kind of looks and goes, "Ah, yes. He strikes the most intimidating posture. As he turns back to you. But
Well, his appearance fully used, quite skilled.
I will take your word for that. Now,
And beloved.
and beloved. That sounds very specific.
It's a long story, I believe.
I imagine it is, just like these swords. Speaking of which, now it would be improper of me, and you should know that these swords have been highly sought after. Now, myself, I am not particularly fussed about it. My blade has seen me through. After all, as he pats the sword and he says, after all, sorry. The leaf here has been my companion for quite some time and has seen me through many fights.
Leaf eater.
Leaf.
Oh,
Just leaf.
leaf.
Yes.
Ah,
The leaf here has been my companion for quite some time, and I would never think of throwing him aside. He has been with me through thick and thin. But you should know, these swords have been the subject of much hunting by collectors and would-be master duelists. There are, in fact, some who think, who are trying to amass the whole collection, and indeed, some of these scars were some of those very same pen hunters. So the warning is such. I would also say, I would not mind testing my blade against yours, but in this village that would be rude. After all, these people were good, and they have been very polite to me. I would not want to shed blood on their perfectly good flowers.
that is true.
I
These
would
people do seem to be rather upstanding.
And so, I would not want to sully their beautiful village with such acts of brazen violence. So, I must ask, where are you headed?
We're headed to the Society Quadratica.
Indeed. You're taking yourself all the way to Rosaino then.
That we are.
Oh, that's perfectly good. If perhaps my manner of dress and my flamboyant attitude did not give it away, that is my homeland. And if you would find yourself heading back there, perhaps we'll meet. And we can share a drink and shed some blood. I would love to get to know you the proper way, the swordsman, the duelist's way. You and your friend.
You asked for the duel with a traveling swordsman.
Indeed, it is a subject of much romance, is it not?
So you shall receive one.
Excellent! I love your spirit. Ah, you are a kindred soul, I can tell.
Rarely, if ever, do I pass over a challenge such as this.
Man after my own. Well then, perhaps we'll meet sometime in Rosaino, and we'll be able to match blades. See which one of our pens writes the best story. I look forward to
We'll
meeting.
have to find some good enough paper too.
Ah, but don't you know? The pen's paper is us. We are the finest of paper.
Ah,
Our blood, the ink, our skin, the tapestry upon which it writes.
you're a poet as well.
Oh, well,
Very nice.
most half-baked nobility from Rosaino are at least taught some poetry. And of course, anyone who, with any amount of worth and salt, who wishes to wield one of the pens, I think should know at least a little bit. After all, it only honors the memory of the man who made them. Now,
Well, I'm a privateer, so I only know so much about poetry, but it's close enough.
it is never too late to learn a new art form. Now, I must say one thing. Perhaps the reason why so many are seeking them, besides perhaps the bragging rights and value, it is rumored. I'm saying this to you because I like you, because you're not some greedy guts trying to split me open the moment you see my glass blade. It is rumored that whoever can get all 13 swords together and then bring them... whoever can bring them to Milo's old workshop will be rewarded in some way. Some postulate that perhaps he had a 14th master blade that he hid, something that could split mountains or some other nonsense. Others think it's a mountain of treasure, others think it's his last written work ever. Whatever it is, if it's real, I dare say it might be worth chasing. Or perhaps the poetry in it, and that would be most fitting for Milo, is those who are greedy and stupid enough to go killing and killing and killing and be killed will find no reward in the end besides the blood upon their hands. Who knows?
And there are folks out there who would aspire to this.
Oh, absolutely. There are people.
Hunters.
There are people who will will stop at no ends to pry the swords from your cold dead hand. And so I would recommend keep it sheathed.
Well, of course, I'd love to see them try it.
I would not be so brazen. There are people like me, and there are others who see such a challenge and such brashness, strike you down with a single stab. Be careful who you provoke.
Regardless, it sounds like I have something on my bucket list.
Well, it's certainly a wonderful epitaph. I must set off. I have spent already too much time in this village, and that idiot Diego is giving me a headache just with proximity. And that has no class. No.
Before you leave, could I have your name?
Yes. What to say? I am... Oh, no, that's not... It's not handsome. He sort of runs his fingers across his chin. He says... You know, I'd always wondered this. What name do you think I have? What do you think I strike you as?
In terms of name, Flex says he kind of strokes his chin. One of his ears kind of tilting from side to side as he thinks, his eyes narrowed. You strike me as a Mauricio. Perhaps a Ramirez?
Ramirez. Oh, those are dashing names. I'm very tempted to. I'm very tempted to go with those. But
Perhaps an Alonzo, maybe?
So no, I have an idea. We'll find a little bit of middle ground, somewhere in that same sort of inflection. You may refer to me as Santiago.
Santiago.
Oh, perhaps simply Iago, if that suits your will.
Iago Santiago.
Iago
Either
Santiago.
one rolls off the tongue quite nicely.
I think I like that. Iago Santiago. That will confuse the idiots a little bit.
The last Iago I knew killed his best friend in his sleep. Oh, I'm sorry, killed his wife. Oh, no, someone. Iago's not
Killed a lot of
man.
people.
He killed a lot of people.
Yes. You may refer to me then, since we are such fast friends, you may refer to me as Iago. And what is your name?
Well, truth be told, I don't recall what my true name ever was.
Then Indeed.
The only name I've ever really been given was by my family back in my privateering days. Or I guess my privateering days is still about me, but earlier in my privateering days, early in my life, I was given a different name, now a proper name, Flick of the Ear. But you can just call me Flick.
You have my condolences for the loss of your name. Seems ironic that I would give mine up and you would lose yours. Strange.
And mine's been lost for many years.
Hmm.
It's nothing you need to worry of.
All the same. Still, I think Flick suits you, and sometimes it is somehow... One could perhaps think it is better that you get to have a name you choose, or perhaps that fits you, rather than one that is given to you at birth, no? You seem so unsuited sometimes. After all, Diego is such a dashing and dignified name, and yet it is attached to a lout like that. He points over to the young man over here, just sort of trying to find a way to dashingly pose while eating a bowl of goulash. At one point, he's like got his eye halfway across the. Like he's looking across the tavern. He's not looking, and he like gets a little bit of the soup across his shirt. No class, I tell you. Well then, Flick.
You two. I was going to ask if you two knew each other, but it seems like you do.
I know him insofar as I've seen him and how he treats all the women in this village. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for the pleading of the people here to let them deal with the problem themselves, I would have challenged the man to a duel myself and killed him in front of everybody. But that is not how things are done here, and I respect their ways. The man has had...
Well,
he is a fully grown man, and he has all the time in the world to learn how to behave as one should in front of others. And yet... he is... that. It just kind of wrinkles his face. A waste. A waste of perfectly good skin and perfectly good manhood.
Damn, people don't seem to like Diego for some reason.
I wonder why.
Oh, yes, for some reason.
I wonder why.
Thanks. As he gives you a little bow, swishing his sword back into his glove and then sweeping his sash aside a little bit as he gives you a nod of respect. He says, "Then Flick, I look forward to seeing you in Rosino."
but gives him a little curtsy and says, "And are you, Diego?"
As he gives you a cheeky smile and then continues making his way towards the gate, giving people nods of acknowledgement as he goes. A couple of the people wave him goodbye, including some of the travelers. And the man kind of slumped over behind the building over here raises a mug in his direction as well. And Iago, they open the gate for him. He hops over the river and is seen again.
There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes.
And then as he leaves from the gate, since he's now no longer in the village, he brings out his glass sword and then strikes the gate, leaving behind a Z.
Zan Tiago.
It's an S.
I guess it would be an I, actually, for Iago.
Yes, you see, my true name was Zantiago. Truly, the greatest twist.
Lil Zan.
God,
Lil
don't make him a SoundCloud rapper. Jesus Christ.
Little man.
Lil Zan. But yes.
My parents named me after a medication.
It's actually an X. My name is Insanity. Anyway, so that aside, Flick, you are now bereft of a conversational partner.
Kind of continue strolling along. he'll give Mallory a little nod of acknowledgement for
You'd give
making his
one
way
back?
for making his way past the others, giving Diego another look as he passes by. Probably one of possibly pity or sympathy.
He sees you like the first person to actually look at him while he's doing his whole posing over a bowl of soup, now with a sort of streak of brown down the middle of his shirt. As he sees you make eye contact with him, and you see like a half smile and his one hand come up, like pointing your direction like a finger gun. The hair bobs back, that sort of half greasy, kind of floppy mess that it is. And he goes, "Hey."
I can't with the It reminds me of this. I'm gonna post this in Simple Path.
Sad, dude.
Sad.
I'm trying my best to
No.
channel. I can't do it very well, but I'm trying my best to channel fuckboy energy.
Just focus on the fuckboy Sasuke picture, and that'll really help.
Yeah. Or
Again,
Biting my lower
again,
lip.
Simple Path.
Yeah, Flick's ears just kind of fold back, and he just kind of, and again he just gives him like a look of pity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, he likes cats.
Yeah, you see, he bites his lower lip. One eyebrow comes up as a couple fingers stroke his chin.
I hate him.
He's
hate
obviously
him.
just very clearly he's trying to see if he's practicing and trying to see your reaction. Obviously, he doesn't think gender is going to be any barrier to his wiles.
Does he still have the soup on his shirt?
Yes, that's never left.
Well, Flick, he's going to stop his walk, kind of do a heel face turn towards him, point back in his direction, and say, "Pro tip: hand-eye coordination. Makes it so you don't drop things while you're doing one other thing. Try to have both hands empty."
That's a lot of words very quickly. Let's see if his brain can process it.
Oh my god.
Oh dear lord.
Oh yeah, totally.
We can't tell.
Oh no.
It's like
Why?
he takes a knife out and he starts like while looking you in the eyes, in a actually strangely impressive show of legerdemain and manual dexterity, starts doing finger fillet, where he's stabbing between his fingers. It actually gets pretty quick before the lady of the inn, the old lady, picks up, takes one of her shoes off of her feet and throws it at his head and says, "Stop ruining my tables!"
She took out the chancla.
The shoe drops.
Oh,
It baps him in the head, hits the edge of the soup bowl, flings the rest of it into his face.
Okay, now I feel bad
That
for him.
orbital
For.
chunk.
I'm convinced there's no brain cell in this man.
There isn't.
There are no
There really
brain.
isn't.
It literally
Lights are on,
smoked
nobody's
brain.
home.
No,
It's
hey Sam, finally someone with a brain more aerodynamic than ours. Oh my god.
This man has 2 levels in rogue, 5 levels in idiot, 3 levels in fuckboy.
Hell yeah.
So he's a bard.
No, actually, no.
College of fuckboy bard.
As a matter of fact, no. The bard is sitting next to him.
Oh, is that the
Staring,
tiefling?
just eyeing him.
Yes, the tiefling is currently. Let me make another handout so you guys can see the full art of the tiefling. I should do this anytime you guys are talking to one of the NPCs. Honestly.
Quick question. Why you do that? Isn't there a spell that grants others intelligence or things intelligence?
Awakening.
Awakening.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on
obviously-
sentient creatures.
You call that thing sentient?
You call that thing sentient?
Question. If we ran into him in the future and he didn't change, could I cast Awakening on him, please?
You can see what effect that might have.
Guys, I know what you must do is
This
now.
man just ascends to godhood in front of your eyes.
Finally, he has a
Yes. This man is currently enjoying a pastry of some sort as he's lounging against one chair with his instrument up against his side. Obvious, a finely crafted violin.
Oh, so he's...
Yes, that's the
Horny bard.
bard. Yes, he is a horny bard. Yes, he, for his part, is eating a pastry, and you can see there's bits of cotton wool shoved into his ears as he's just looking in any direction except for Diego.
No one likes Diego. I understand why, but no one likes Diego.
Nope, it's Diego.
I suddenly want to talk to Diego.
Diego Aho.
They go, oh.
Fuck
Please don't-
Diego.
please- Please don't tell me.
Diego. All my homies Stan, Iago.
Yeah, I go. All my homies stand. Yeah, no, that's actually correct. Yeah.
Let me see. That whole interaction is finished. Let's see. Hello, you're picking...
I was about to say, I was going to be tempted to have Flick just do one last thing and just turn to the Tiefling Bard. Just give like a thumb towards Diego and give him a look like, get a load of this guy.
He's like, "Goo." You do that, and the Tiefling just looks you in the eyes, follows your thumb towards Diego. You see a look of just unmasked contempt and a dismissive wave as he looks away from him. It's just like, no, don't remind me. Yes.
With that, Flick will continue on his merry way.
Excellent. Hello, and Flick, as you're coming along that way. You hear these three here conversing around the well, something to the effect of some very, very technical terminology. As far as you can tell, seems to have something to do with flowers.
Oh boy, I might be able to understand.
But before I jump right to that, someone I've been neglecting for a little bit now, Karia, you and Vair.
Oh, yeah. Well, I assume after we finished up the cart, everybody had gone off and done their own thing.
Yeah, everybody's
Karia
kind of wandered off and gone about their own way.
Karia will kind of look around and
I'm here for
go
you.
about. Oh, good. I'm glad. I guess Karia will kind of look to Vair, and go, I see. They've all gone. Well then. And he's just going to wander about the village aimlessly.
Okay.
And just find something.
All right. Vair is going to do the same. And one of the first things he's going to do is he's going to walk up to the young flower maiden. And he's going to plop his ass on the grass, head up, and just look at her.
She can't.
The guardsman is going to take a step next to her, eyeing Vair warily. Then the flower maiden kind of stares down at Vair. The look that he's giving her, with his kind of neck craned high, head sort of just a little bit lower as a result of how the skeletal structure of the neck is. Stare him up and down, and then, despite a look of puzzlement, will then gesture towards the basket of flowers and say, "Would you?" To which Vair then a single fluid nod. And she goes, Oh, I see. She then pulls out a garland of, or a crown of a mix of red, white, and yellow flowers. Beautifully knotted together, and then gently places it on Vair's head. As he then sits fully upright and seems to preen, as the flower maiden then also gives him a pat on the head. Vair looks like he won the local beauty competition.
Very good. Proud as he should be.
What would the skill check be to read flower language? I would say that would probably be the relevant craft skill. That or some kind of knowledge nature check. Also, possibly... No, I don't think it would be Decipher Script. Besides, that's fucking 3.5. But yes. I would say that would be a knowledge nature check, honestly. To know flower language. Imagine somebody with Ikebana. Back to the L5R we go. So, Karya, you want to go wandering around the village? Aiko is there with
Indeed.
you.
Oh, actually, Aiko needs to go do something. So,
Oh dear, okay. In that case, Karya, you're free to wander.
I
Oh,
for
good.
sake of prosperity, I'm near Vair. So.
Okay.
Okay, good. He's just hanging out with Vair. Yeah, so I'm just literally wandering. At this point, I kept an eye on Vair for a bit. I knew where he was gonna go. I just went and did my own thing.
Okay. Where are you going?
That's a very good question. I literally mean aimlessly. Let's see. Everybody's kind of gone their own way. I can walk back to the computer for a second. There we go. Well, let's see. Starting off here, he'll probably just immediately head in any direction that is not where anyone else went. So let's see. This is the Sunflower Place. I'm literally gonna walk up to this. What is this little shrine here? Is this the
Yeah, that's the local shrine. You see the priest there,
right.
sat contemplating
Yep,
a flower.
I am so lost. You know what? I see the elderly.
Yes.
Will walk through the village as he do, and pass by the locals as
Yep.
they are.
You hear a bunch of nerds
locals
talking
and
about flowers.
Of course. And I'm gonna talk to this old. I'm gonna stop at this old woman's shack.
Okay. She doesn't react to your approach until you get very close, and then previously where she was just kind of rocking in a rocking chair and looking down into a bed of white flowers, she then looks up to you but doesn't quite look at you. Her sight has obviously gone. But when you approach, she says, "Hello." She's kind of like looking off to the side, but obviously her attention is on you. She says, "Hello there. I don't believe I know you."
No, most likely not. We've just arrived in town, but I've discovered that the wisdom of the elders can often incite much more things about the place I'm at than anything else.
Are you calling me old, young
I am calling you wise.
man? I'm kidding with you. I know I'm old. So then, you want to ask me for information. Obviously, everybody knows that the old spinsters are the biggest gossips. She relaxes back into her chair and rocks back and forth a bit. What wisdom would you like me to share? All I know is perhaps how to have many grandchildren and how to grow flowers, but I'll help where I can.
Well, I do not believe I need to know how to have grandchildren, and
Well, if you did, I'd be very worried.
well, yes, I suppose. Nevertheless, I wish to know more about this town, and more importantly, I suppose the one who this land calls king. More importantly, I should start small. How long have you lived here?
I see. So, in that order, you want to know about our fair town of Patalo. You want to know about our king, King Lorbus. And what was it again?
No, I suppose how long you yourself have been here is a more
I see.
immediate question.
About that. Uh,
I'm back.
for the questions as to the town, I might leave that to my husband. For myself, I've lived here quite honestly my entire life. This has been my village, my home, for as long as I've seen daylight and I've seen the moon. That would be something close to 62 years now.
I see. And there has never been any harm brought to this village in those 62 years.
Oh, quite the opposite, as a matter of fact. About, 40 years ago? Aerodyne came storming over the border, trampled everything flat, nearly killed all of us. I remember those days very, very, very clearly, as if they were yesterday. Remember, and she sort of brings out a tobacco pipe and lights it with a tinder twig, tosses it into the flower pot and says, I remember seeing my mother butchered in front of me, my father dragged and beaten in the town square, our town turned to rubble, and men, women, and children slaughtered indiscriminately, simply for worshipping the wrong gods, or just not worshipping the right one enough. Rosino had angered the Aerodyne Empire one too many times, and we paid the price. They invaded, crusaded, killed many of us, and those of us who survived, myself included, were left to pick up the pieces. The Talo used to be much bigger than this, but the forest has reclaimed a good portion of what was once there. We've grown back a little bit since then, and we thrive now under the leadership of our current king. Before this, even 10 years ago, we were... Well, to say we had hardship after hardship would be true. We suffered for food. Flowers hardly managed to feed an entire village, and nobody had the money to spare to buy flowers. And so, that which we mainly grew, the soil could not support vegetables nearly as much as was suited for flower growth. So when we attempted to farm our own food, we were only ever able to farm just enough to stave off starvation. Until about 10 years ago, times were very hard indeed, throughout all of Lorbus. This prosperity is, quite frankly, unprecedented in our history.
Was the results of your king, or at least within the same time period?
To say that it was entirely our king's doing would be misleading. After all, a king is nothing without his people. But it was under his leadership and his policies and his changes to the operation of the country that we are where we are today, I think. Young as he is, he's seen us quite well. The king himself, I will also show a picture of the old lady. The king himself, Guillermo de Lorbus, nobody expected him. Everybody thought his older brother was going to take the throne. And then that child ran away when his father passed. He fled the throne and left it to his younger brother. Everybody thought he would be unprepared, that he was too young, that he wasn't taught like his brother was, that he wasn't the shining example that everybody was ready to see rise to the throne. And then, merely months afterwards, new policies were being put in place. Taxes were rising, monuments were being built, farmlands were being overhauled, entire plots were being blocked off from being grown on. Everybody thought he had gone mad under the stress that had been put on him. And then a year later, we had more food than we knew what to do with. We had beautiful monuments and fixtures beautifying our cities and our landscapes. And we had enough money to repair the roads to fund education, to pay for healing, and to subsidize the military. And suddenly, for the first time in decades, we had a military that actually could compare to Rosino. Now, you may think this is all too good to be true, and even the king would insist as much, that things don't look as good as things look better than they actually are. As I hear it told, he's rather the pessimistic sort. But it's hard to argue with the results. Guillermo de Lorbus has driven the country of Lorbus into a new age of prosperity, one that has not seen for a very long time. And as a result, and how well our village would not prosper as it has if it were not for the fact that the people of the kingdom had the money to buy our flowers. And we eat better than I ever did as a young girl, even after I lost my sight as a result of a bunch of Eridinian ruffians being a bit too forceful. Even after all of that, it's thanks to him and his policies and his rulership that we prosper as much as we do today. I dare say you barely ever find a better king.
Yes, it would sound like you speak the truth, though it is strange, and I mean no disrespect when I say it, that it seemed to go from pure chaos to incredible peace in such a fast time. It's rather unfounded, if I do say so.
Quite so. The crusade was chaotic and quick. They came and they left as soon as they began. It was short-lived. I won't even claim that we drove them back. They simply left. We don't know the reason why. We can only imagine that there was some inner turmoil or some other such issue that brought the military back within the borders of Eridine. But they came, they laid waste, and they left, leaving us to pick up the pieces in poverty. And we thought that we would simply be like that for centuries. We had no idea where to go, what to do. But the king, rather than wallowing, brought in intellectuals and experts and such from other nations. He enticed them in. He promoted technology and thought. The bards, the way they speak of it, he almost had a honeyed tongue when it came to speaking to the disaffected and to the spurned geniuses of other nations, bringing them in to bolster our country where other countries spurned them. Indeed, that, as I hear it, is the reason why the Lock and Match Company is now founded in Lorbany.
Interesting. If I may ask a personal question then.
Mm-hmm.
Such a marvelous kingdom that has formed and flourished over these years, then. You say you lost your sight, but I don't see quite heads or tails of magic in these lands. Have you no magic in this land? Surely eye damage would be easily repaired.
We do have the services of our local priest. But as he says it, it's such healing is a bit out of his means. Correctly. Just gonna check something real quick. There we go. Yeah. Okay, that confirms it. She says, I could probably beg such a thing off of some of the healers in the capital if we made the trip. Thanks to the new policies on tax allocation, going to a healer house is far more affordable than it would have been back in the day. Healers and priests would charge, frankly, absurd amounts of gold simply for the materials to make such a process possible. But no, I've grown accustomed to my sight, or lack thereof. I live with it. It's a part of me. I tend to my flowers, I smoke my pipe, and I listen to the people come and go. I live a life. I think I live an enchanted enough life. I don't need magic.
I see. Forgive me for my strange questions. I'm not accustomed to this. My homeland was far
chuckles a little
different.
bit. Really, they must feed you differently there. The sound of your footfalls echoed through the floor.
Well, it was rather the lack thereof of being fed, but I digress. I am unsure how to operate in a place like this.
Oh, well, it's
If I am
quite
be
simple.
honest.
You wake up, you work hard, you eat, you sleep, you use the bathroom occasionally, talk to your neighbors, you enjoy your life that you have and that's been given to you by the gods above, go to sleep, and you wake back up in the same world you fell asleep in. It's all very simple.
Yeah, it's very alien to me.
Well, if that's the case, you must live a very interesting life indeed.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't know
Really?
if I would call it interesting. Well, I mean,
Well,
no.
what has your life been so far, since you've been asking about mine? Where do you come from? What have you been doing up until now? Where have you lived that you've been so surrounded by magic?
Well, if I may, and he'll kind of reach. Is there another seat near her? Is there just one rocking chair?
Oh, there's another seat next to her.
He'll kind of lean over and like tap the side of it, like if I may.
Actually, one moment. She's gonna reach back a hand and knock it against the wood front of the house. Dear, we have a guest. As from around the back of the house.
Oh,
Oh, hello. As he kind of
Dumbledore?
perhaps. as he sort of in a fairly crotchety manner walks over, says, "Hello, welcome to my town. I haven't met you, I don't think. No, I haven't. Hello. I am the mayor of this of our fine little Patalo. I see you've already become acquainted with my wife."
yes, she seemed the sort of which I would be able to speak to rather easily.
Yes, she's always been a joy to. He kind of walks over and places a hand on her shoulder and squeezes it gently and says, "She's always been quite easy to talk to."
Very good. He'll kind of blink at this, understanding, but still again a bit alien to him.
Mhm.
We'll kind of nod and go, "You said you're the mayor. Oh, well, your
Yes.
town."
As the old woman looks up and goes, he was just asking about Patalo specifically. You're interested in our little village.
Indeed, well, the previous hamlet of which I visited, I've only been in a few villages in my life, and I wouldn't dare say I've stayed long enough to know, but, well, for lack of a better term, the ones I've gone to were either at half death's door or were already gone, and the ones that weren't, well, they didn't like to keep me around. This is strange, and I'm not used to it.
Kind of runs a hand through his beard and says, I see. You've lived a very grim life until now.
I wouldn't say that. I have made do. I have nothing to complain.
You've survived, but have you lived?
Are they not the same?
Kind of looks to his wife. She, as if knowing he would look to her, looks back to him, and there's a shared look of and a thought of some sort, the kind you would almost think you and your brother would share. But clearly, there's no magic here. There's no or empathic link, but somehow they still seem to just know what each other are thinking. As the old man looks at you and says, "Fear not, my boy. To survive is simply to make it from day to day. To live is to be able to enjoy that life and to experience it." It sounds to me as if the circumstances you have lived with have forced you to become tough and to brace through the hardships. But it also sounds as though as if you've been driven from places, and others you find are already destroyed. I know this is brazen of me, boy, but it dare sounds to me like you've never truly had a home.
Well, that is why I ventured here. Not to find one, but... well, rather why I set out from my home when I was a boy with my brother. And he'll kind of point over to Vair, basking in the sun with a flower crown on.
Vair's over near Vark at this point. He's kind of frolicking in the flowers a little bit. Rolling around.
Can I give him belly rubs?
You may.
I give him belly rubs.
Your brother is an interesting sort. Oh, what's he look like, dear? Serpentine. I think, dear. That's
yes.
An interesting description, my love.
Yes, I won't wax on of my history. It's not much to be said, but I set out when I was young looking for a home, as the place that I had called a home saw me more as a tool rather than, well, anything else. And so I began to wander, and I heard tale of an ancient place that I could potentially call a home to settle and, well, perhaps found a place where I may welcome in others of my mindset, of all walks of life. That was my goal. Though I realize, as I have traveled for this time, I have yet to truly grasp what it means to... and then I'll point over to Vair. That.
The old man chuckles, and he's enjoying the flower beds, dear. Oh, yes. As the old man sort of leans up against the flower tray, and says, It's a hard thing to learn. To relax and to let go. To drop one's guard. My wife and I, we took a very long time to do so after the horrors of the crusade from Eridine. For a very long time, people fought over food and over a warm home. And it was, for a very long time, a trust was hard to foster. It is why we appreciate prosperity even more so now. We thank that our children never had to live through such hardship. And then the old lady reaches out and grabs one of your hands, Karya. Small and frail as they may be, they wrap around your fingers. Like one of her hands will like wrap around 2 or 3 of them at a time, but they hold your hand firmly. She says, I think you'll understand eventually. I think you'll get it. And the older man leans back a bit and says, but it will come with time, and it will require a willingness to be hurt and a willingness to trust others. I see your guardedness and I see your wariness as you walk through the village.
Yes, well, I'm unsure how to phrase this, but well, I've recently discovered that staying near people may not be the best for them, and, it has bred within me concern, and, well, if I am to not live the life of a hermit, and one that I had hoped for, I don't suppose I know how to actually do this living thing, and nor would I know how to begin. In truth, when I arrived here, I assumed, from our last venture that, and I mean no disrespect, that one of you were to be secretly, I don't know, killing travelers and using their bodies to till the fields. Of course, I don't see any evidence of that, so I am wrong.
No, the older woman just kind of waves her hand and goes, no, human flesh makes for terrible fertilizer for the flowers.
Oh. Well, I would not know that.
How would she know that?
How would she know
Look,
that?
man, post-crusade was hard.
That's true.
But yes, she chuckles and says, I'm sure I understand quite exactly what you're going through, but it's clear something's on your mind. There's something that's bothering you that until it's taken care of, won't let you really live. But I think you have the will and the mindset to do so if you want to, and once that burden is lifted, well, you're free to come have dinner with us sometime.
Are you certain that you have enough food for oh wait, you can't see me.
He's a rather large lad, so I will simply cook more.
Well, I believe that would be nice.
She pats your fingers. See, you're learning already.
Yes, well, I won't take up any more of your time.
Oh, pish posh, time's all we have.
Yes, I do hope that is the case. I suppose I'm going to try doing that.
You don't have to go rolling around in flowers if you don't want to, but try something you think you'd enjoy. Something that's not directly linked to survival. I'm assuming you're a bit of a hunter.
I suppose that would be a good way to look at it.
Then, perhaps try and choose something that doesn't relate to that. Something divorced from violence and destruction. Try making something.
Making something.
Have,
Hmm.
does he have a knife on him? Boy, do you have a knife on you?
He'll kind of pat around and then pull out his skinning knife. Yes.
Oh, that'll do quite nicely. Take a piece of wood, bit of firewood every now and again. Try and see if you can carve it into a shape. Just whatever comes to mind.
Let's see.
Perhaps even help you put your thoughts into something a little more physical. If that doesn't suit your fancy, find something else. I do believe we call these hobbies.
A hobby.
It's, my hobby is my hobby tends to be numismatism, or counting things. I keep inventory, and I act as quartermaster for the village. My darling wife's hobby is cooking. The innkeep's hobby is chasing away miscreants. Diego's hobby is chasing skirts, and Jonato's hobby over there is draining every last ounce of ale that we have in stock. We all have our little ways of enjoying our lives, some perhaps less enviable than others, but we find things to fill our time. Perhaps don't remind us quite as much of the hardships that make up the rest of our lives.
Not to detract, but I would like to mention that Sully has put adorable Mark looking with a flower crown in the water.
Aww.
Oh.
Oh my
I mean-
god. So cute.
I will put it in the stream.
Marky boy.
Marky boy.
There. Truly beloved.
If you look at the file name, it says Vark Beloved.
He's very beloved.
He is beloved.
Little Mark.
But yes, so that everybody on the stream can see it as well. I have included a little Vark.
Oh, good.
He's so cute.
He's so
I am beloved.
Oh, yeah.
As who?
Makara,
Beautiful.
yes, he is indeed.
Very much.
Yeah, with nothing else to say, he'll kind of scratch his chin and go. So my new quest is to find a hobby.
A quest is an interesting way to put it. But yes, find a hobby, find somebody you like spending time with, or just for the love of, just find something you enjoy. Life's too short to worry about about just surviving. Otherwise, all you'll do is spend every day doing so. Take it from a survivor, perhaps not the same as you, but take it from another survivor. There's more to life than that. Indeed, if you want to make this home of yours, you've got to have something you can enjoy after you finish that. It's nothing worse than just building yourself a house and then sitting in it day after day with nothing to do. It's boring quite quickly. Now, off on your quest, I shall return to my own quest, namely checking on the loaves in the oven. And the old man says, yes, and in fact, I too have quite a quest to journey off onto. I believe there was a barrel full of apples that needed counting. Please do enjoy your time in our village. If you ever have any more questions about Pitalo, I will forever be at your service.
Yes, oh my lord, these baby toys are going off constantly. Literally, she's made a circle of toys and is just hitting them all in unison.
The one girl band.
Sounds like the whole baby.
Never.
The old lady.
Nevertheless, Karya will.
Addie's training to Addie's training to begin her drumming career.
Yes, it's all musical toys and instruments. So
She's
yes,
going to be a
she
musical
knows
savant
some-
at this point. Yes, the old
Yes.
lady totters over towards the door of her house, gives you a smile and a little wave goodbye as she then, again, in a staggered manner, walks inside.
I suppose I never thought about what I would do after I completed my mission. I always assumed I would just kind of die.
Indraconic, like hissing over the light breeze. You hear Intraconic, and for those of you who can understand Draconic, you also understand this. There's the sound of the breeze. There's the lap of the pond and the river as the air pushes it. There's the chatter. There's the bustle. And there's the sound of ruffling flowers and the draconic hiss of these flowers smell so fucking good.
Is that by year?
That's by ear. As he's just kind of rolling around in the flower bed. This. Oh, thanks, Vera. As he what do you call it? As Vair is flopping around, the belly pats you gave him may have made him a little bit goofy. He's in a really good mood.
I'm glad.
I'll look over to Vair, and I'll think about it for a moment before Karya goes. Or rather, he'll think about it for a moment before he goes. No, I don't think that's what I do. I'm gonna go find the highest place on this village, and I'm gonna stand there. That's gonna be my hobby.
So the religious obelisk in this case.
Yes. I
the
suppose.
You anime
The
protagonist.
dramatic stand.
I need
Dragon
to,
Knight.
I need to find a hobby, and so one thing dragons do when they need to think, I'm roosting. Hello, father. Excuse me.
I see. What are you doing?
Someone stop him.
I was told I was set out on a quest to find a hobby, and I see that
This
my
is
brother over there.
This is your hobby?
I think.
Would I be able to see that this is going on?
Yes, very easily.
Just a 7-foot tall man
I'm
standing on
climbing
top of an obelisk.
Okay,
As you-
Mallory will immediately he will look absolutely angry that this is happening. He's just gonna
You feel?
walk on over. Oh, that's
Yeah.
Mallory.
What do you call it?
The
Vo-
horse starts marching.
Karya.
Worse.
Sorry, you feel eyes burning into your side.
I'll look and go. Mallory, yes, your hobby is brooding. Yes. How do you do that?
I do not brood. I do not mope. Now get off the obelisk.
Weren't you just drinking extensively on the boat?
That is irrelevant.
Irrelevant. I've been told to find a hobby.
Is committing heresy a hobby?
I don't believe I know what heresy means, but I can assume that yes.
It is something I will have to kill you for if you do.
Oh no.
Please, no shedding blood within the village grounds.
I will respect that.
Sir, it is disrespectful to climb atop religious iconography and buildings.
Ah, I see.
It is well and
Oh
good to
my.
show love to the gods, but if you are simply clambering atop their the monuments made in their in their veneration, it is not quite heresy, but most certainly disrespectful. I would politely ask you to please dismount.
Ah, I see. My apologies. I'm simply attempting to find a hobby.
Had you perhaps considered something more grounded? collecting smitings. That's one. Yeah, here's a hobby. We go getting a stamp card for the amount of times you've been cursed by a god. Collect 10 and you get a free sandwich.
Okay, so like cute, like that montage in like shows where it's just Karya going from person to person trying to find
a hobby.
Yep, it's literally a
Yeah.
Saturday morning cartoon plot.
Yeah, literally, it just goes from person to person and he just fails each and every time.
You know what? I'll look over to the priest and go, my apologies, and I also apologize for my little friend over here, as he'll point over to Mallory. He meant no disrespect by threatening me with violence.
No, we are brothers in faith, though we disagree. We have different philosophies on how that faith should be fulfilled. I understand that. Though, as I ask, you are guests here, and I ask you to respect our traditions and our principles.
Yes, I see. Well, I suppose I will find something grounded.
Had you perhaps considered exercise, or perhaps a craft of some sort?
I don't believe there's any place I could craft much around here, but
Karya, if you need a hobby, I am willing to accompany you for the time being.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, Mallory. That sounds like a lovely afternoon.
The priest
Alright.
nervously looks between the two of you. Yes, this will only end well. This is a dynamic duo that everybody wants to see.
Yes.
Yes. He says, "Thank you. Just, please abilide climbing any of the buildings. The thatch roofs, I don't think, can hold your weight. The shingles will probably come out from underneath it, and the oven has been needing to be rebuilt for a while yet. So, you would more than likely break anything you climb on top of."
Do I overhear any of this?
I mean, are you paying attention to the conversation over here or here?
I'll finish what you're gonna go do now, and then I'll ask what the old men and all that are talking about mostly.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that everybody around could probably hear
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Bless.
Gesundheit.
Whoopsies.
I mean, the idea, I guess, would be here is that Ho was paying attention to what I think the flower people were saying, and then like once like Karya and like started to make a scene, he'd probably like look over there.
Okay.
Yeah. Question: can I see Karya? There's this.
I was standing at the
Yeah, it's more of a bush than a tree.
More of a bush. All right. Okay.
So, yeah,
I'm
you can
just
see it.
gonna, do what I do and just meander my way over. I'm just gonna watch vehemently close.
Maya is the person who, at the beginning of the campaign, introduced herself as a shrine maid.
Yeah, sure am. 100% real. Do not question.
Hello, it is me, Shrine of Maiden.
I am Miko.
I am more here to prevent things from getting out of hand. Because you all love causing chaos.
Hey, I haven't caused any chaos.
You know
None.
it's a lie, Mallory. You know it's a lie, Mallory.
I have caused no chaos. All I've done is
This is
lost
a-
a copious amount of money
This
in
is a
gambling.
very different Mallory from the last campaign.
Yes.
Yeah, the child that was left alone and hired like 3 strangers to man a boat that
Yeah.
we did not have.
One of which was Flick. I remember that.
Yeah, that was interesting. Also met a robot. Anyway, so what do you call it? Karya is off on a bizarre adventure to go find a hobby.
Warrior's
As
Bizarre Adventure.
exactly. In fact, he has had 2 people approach him. So, Flick and Hello, before we close out for the night, I think, because we're nearing 4 hours. No, we're nearing 3.5 hours, but we're nearing midnight more specifically. And I know that once midnight hits, at least 4 of us should be getting to bed, but 3 of us will most certainly need to. So, yes. Blah, blah, blah. What? Yeah, sure. So, the conversation that's been had here, can I get a knowledge nature from both of you? From Flick and from Hollow.
Knowledge nature, Yep.
Oh, Flick's not got much to say.
Excellent. Flick, this is a bunch of mumbo jumbo about flowers.
What's a plan?
Flick knows jack shit
You
about
hear-
what's going on, but he is interested anyways.
You hear root, stamen, pestle, and then all the things like every potential like technical name for a different flower that you just whizzes by your ears constantly as they seem to be discussing comparable traits of specific flowers, maybe? As if they're like comparing them?
Flowers are not boats, therefore I do not know.
You row a flower. No. No, I'm not interested. So yes.
But I will listen.
Whereas Hollow, you track this pretty much perfectly. The 2 out-of-towners, who are dressed a little more nicely, seem to know their stuff. In fact, as they clarify through the conversation with the old man here, who seems to be the horticultural expert of the village, they demonstrate and clarify that they are members of the Society Quadratica, who have come here specifically because they're doing a tour of Lorbus, because they are experts on floral plants, on flowers, specifically on the reproductive cycles. They are currently going through the process of cataloging every type of flower in the Quadran-on, and then they're going to branch out and start doing every country around it, and then ones beyond those. And eventually they want to make an encyclopedia of every flower in the world. So they started close to home. They're talking to the horticultural expert, the man who's in charge of identifying, knowing, and categorizing every flower within the city limits, or within the town limits, including whichever new ones are bred. And they're talking about, how to keel a plant, though. I'd want to know that. I wouldn't possibly fathom, but, So they're asking him about the different ones. Whenever he brings up one of the new breeds, one of the new strains of flower that have been bred within the town, the shorter human girl will chime in and say, "Oh, that's like X flower," and then the larger half orc lady will bap her on the shoulder and go, "No, it's more like Y flower," and then the old man will go, "No, it's more like Z because of these properties," and really, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of nerding out about flowers.
And then Hola will chime in and say, "No, I think it's actually I think it's like flower A, no Q
or alpha, Gen alpha flowers." As you break into the conversation, the man steps to the side to make room for you. As you push your way into the conversation. And you about keep par with all of them. Like some of them disagree with your assessment. Others go like, "Yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from." And overall, like that for like the next hour, you're dragged into a conversation where you debate the minutia of flowers. And you give a unique perspective because of your knowledge of the flowers from your homeland and the lands around that, specifically of ridgeback reef flowers, the underwater flowers that grow in the water around your island, and also the shibaki, orland, and plain flowers that grow in the nearby area.
Hol is like writing down a few of their names and stuff like that, like making little sketches on a little piece of paper, just gonna hand it to him.
Get a lot of oohs and ahs and appreciative nods as they go like, "I think I've heard about these. Yes, they're very prized by the shibaki. I don't know exactly why. You, of course, know because to have gotten those flowers off the island in the first place was some sort of accomplishment of the Shibaki, having been able to get seedlings off of your homeland, your home island, and then to grow them and sell them on the market made them a scarce, almost badge of supremacy over your people. Where in actuality, what it turned out to be was one of your elders had at one point, and you explained this to them, I assume.
Yeah.
Your elders at one point had been the one to smuggle the seed out, plant it, or like sell it for a fortune to one of the Shibaki. Then manipulated the market for months afterwards to make them incredibly scarce and incredibly expensive to basically PR spin them, and then have basically have Shibaki nobles out thousands of gold pieces just for like one or two of these flowers, where in actuality, the seedling was imported from the from the prairie to the north. It was just simply one that Shibaki had never seen because they never, ever bothered with the prairie, thinking that they were, that they're basically primitives. Basically tricked a bunch of Shibaki nobles into growing a common prairie flower in tropical environs, costing them tons in maintenance, tons in environmental control and magic, and hiring experts, or hiring horticultural experts to then grow it within their greenhouses, and then have more Shibaki nobles shovel out their pockets for a common prairie flower. So yes,
Safe to say he made Old Man Thunder laugh that day.
The pith helmeted woman actually goes, "Who's Old Man Thunder?"
Oh no, that's another story. And then he goes on another tirade on
Explaining the basic concept of like a Ridgeback Kupwa.
Yeah.
So yeah, you also give them a religious lecture. Also kind of counts as as teaching them your family tree, weirdly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that conversation now basically on another runaway. This drama being this drama being reconciled for the time being. Vark is high on life, so is Vair. Mallory is a little less angry, or at the very least ameliorated by the ability to make sure that Karya is babysat. Yeah, I'm gonna say that the day passes with I'm gonna say the day passes with Flink kind of, I would say you're kind of like wandering around, rubbing shoulders with people.
Getting the lay of the land, so it would be.
Hollow is waxing
giving a
intellectual.
lecture.
Yeah, waxing intellectual, lecturing and being lectured by the horticultural expert and the two society members. Karya and Mallory are hunting for a hobby for Karya. I don't know if
It was scrapbooking all along.
yes, or coin collecting,
Knitting.
or basket weaving underwater. Lolo and Paka are content to float on the water. I don't know if Aiko wants to partake in the hobby hunt, or if she wants to do something else.
I'm just following thing 1 and thing 2 to make sure they don't cause trouble.
Gotcha.
You know, Karya, my hobby has always been singing.
Well, I'm very glad that I haven't been able to hear that. But now I can. Let us sing the night away in the woods.
Right, where no one can see us.
Exactly.
Keep an eye on both of you.
Vark is currently marveling at how beautiful and beloved he is. Siren, are you keeping him company, or are you doing something else?
I am keeping him company flower crown on my head as well, and just kind of looking around and cheerfully enjoying the scenery and the socializing and the whole village life. And to anyone who is able to notice, she's really trying her best to hide the fact that she misses her own village, and is just kind of giving a lot of like fake smiles, pretending like she's just totally fine.
Fire is, of course, frolicking and enjoying his time in the flowers. And I'll say the day, for the most part, just runs its course like that. Before you guys know it, it's getting dark. How you guys would like to have the day pass like that, I'll leave to you to roleplay out. But I won't be particularly persnickety about it. You can just kind of just say, yeah, this is what I did, or you can even roleplay it in the roleplay channel if you wish. For session. But the in-stay is cheap. You guys are able to stay the night. There's nothing in particular that gets in the way of that. And the day passes peacefully. As night descends, and you all bed down in the inn, hear the whickering of the horses, big and small, windows shutting, people going into their homes, and for the first time with a warm meal and a warm bed, and with a day that has passed with the largest drama being a social snafu by some pumped up e-boy and some giant idiot trying to climb a monument. Sorry, idiot's too harsh.
Giant idiot.
Yes, some giant. Sorry.
Some giant himbo.
Himbo, yes.
Giant himbo.
Climbing a monument. The night passes without problem.
Until
Nothing.
Until roll for
Roll for initiative.
If
If you,
Roll a
I mean,
Constitution save.
if you insist.
no.
No.
When we first got here, I didn't want to put a flower crown on because I thought that it was gonna be
Mind
like
control.
a mind a
Yeah.
mind control circlet.
Or like
So
poisoned flowers.
Yeah, why do you think I handed it off?
See, this is
I was
this
gonna
is
cast detect magic, but everything about this gave no indication that
this.
there was actually gonna be anything.
I'm gonna be real upfront right here. One of the most infuriating things I've dealt with, and I've been most infuriated with myself with, is, and part of the reason why I gave this village a map and tokens and all of that is because there is a association and what do you call it? A instinctual mental connection between having maps, having tokens on the ground, or tokens on the map, and having, especially when this is present, but not even that. It's like every time you come across any village of significance with a name, people with faces, it's always going to devolve into some sort of combat. There's always going to be it's always going to be something else. And it's something I've done in the past, and it's something as I've grown up, I've become more and more aware of how, tiring, cliche that can become. That not every village you come across needs to turn into a trap. Not every person with a profile, or everybody with a face claim needs to be a major NPC, and not everybody who you speak to at length needs to be an enemy eventually. And I've had games like that where every single village you come across is some sort of trap or some sort of plot twist, or it's actually a cult, it's actually cannibals, it's actually a monster controlling all the people, that kind of thing. Sometimes it's just nice to pass through a village that's bright and cheery, just be a normal village and be normal people. And so, hopefully, as I said before, I cultivate and I thrive off of paranoia. And it's gratifying, but at the same time I realize that it can also be really fucking tiring for the players. So this is kind of my olive branch to kind of repair that trust a little bit. Just
It does help
pres-
to have variety in
Terrifying.
tokens and variety in people.
yeah, it present an opportunity to your characters. Just have a normal day. Speak to normal people, and not have every encounter with people either be fraught with social problems, fraught with bloodshed, and have every day that's not just glossed over be some sort of over the top supernatural event. So yeah, today Patalo is just a normal little flower village. Speaking of
Except for
which,
today.
except for today. Although you would say that, but as you can see, they have adventurers that pass through. But yes, Grim, I'm acutely aware of the paranoia you inspire in your players, i.e., myself as well. But yes, speaking of the flower village, in about, as you would hear from some of the people, there's supposed to be a flower celebration festival to herald in the spring, happening in about a week, and it's supposed to go for 2 weeks. So, if you guys are ever passing through here again, that's something to potentially look forward to. Though, of course, you are. It is not required that you come during them. It's just simply a simple event. You guys are, despite some of the weirdness of some of your guys' actions, overall, you guys have been good and polite guests. Paid for the stuff you've used. You've been good to the people, and you are welcome here, either passing through or staying the night. So yes, thank you very much for playing, and that's where I'm going to end the session for tonight.
That was a nice, wholesome session.
That was
I like,
nice.
I like
yeah.
a bit of wholesomeness.
Good, good, good.
Wait,
I got to
Next
meet a
session,
fellow swordsman.
fire.
I will say, just before we finish, as a little sting. Sierra, as you're going to sleep,
Yes. Oh,
no vision, no open field this time. Thank you for the self-care, Grim. Yes, for all you like to giggle about, mimics, bastard. As you sink into sleep, communication with your goddess is not common, and it's very rare that you even exchange a word, especially now that you've become older. When you were much younger, it's not that your bond was stronger, because your bond is most certainly stronger by the merit of the fact that you're able to draw on much more powerful miracles now. But there was something about your bond with Luna and your kin that had her speaking to you a lot more. So but that changed as you got older. The reason for that is not itself quite clear, but it's present all the same. So it is rare that you actually get a word from Lulu. That, from your experience with other faithful, it's exceedingly rare to ever be directly communicated with by one's god. Matter of fact, that makes you quite the oddity. So it is during the night, for the first time in a very long time, you feel the familiar, if old, sensation in your sleep of a warm hand resting on your head, running through your hair. And then just a single sentence of, "You'll find your home." And then the warmth wanes.
and as it wanes, Siren just smiles. A single tear, but smiles.
And that will be session. Thank you all very much. And Grim, thank you for coming around. And, hanging out.
Yeah.
Thank you for hosting, as always.
And homie.
Thank you for playing. So,
Awesome.
next session, who knows what's going to happen? But I think, yeah, the party's. I think the party is enjoying their time in Lorbus so far. Their next destination will be Lorbany, the capital of the country, where they will have all kinds of opportunities thrown wide open for them. They've also got invitations of various kinds across the country, primarily in Rosina. There are places over there to visit too. And there's also, there's also the ancestral home of Vark's teacher down in Naya. But her tower is placed over in Rosino as well. So there's a bevy of interesting things to explore while you're here within the Quadran-on. Join us next session, and I think hopefully tomorrow for Genesis.
I am literally going to run if I have 0 players. At this point,
Guys,
Just make it a narration session.
just run
I will
with
literally
AI.
make it a narration session, and I will control every character.
Just
That's
run
what
with
I'm
AI.
gonna say.
Yeah, but
listen,
yes,
listen. We all should not join tomorrow and let Matt have his schizo episode.
I'll
Mm.
literally be like, okay,
just
Doku, what do
talking
you
to
want to do?
himself.
Okay, Doku, what do you want to do? Waits 30 seconds. Okay, cool. So that goes on without a hitch. Cabal, can you make me this roll? Waits 30 seconds.
I just have this image of
Okay,
Frey
yeah,
just
so
kind
that
of.
doesn't work.
I just have a
Ball T-posing
mental image
menacingly.
of Frey just curled up on the floor, rolling dice and like mumbling to himself.
I'm so tired of not being able to run Genesis. You guys are literally like you have
sessions.
1 day. Yeah, it's like 1 or 2 sessions I'm expecting, but probably 3. Let's be real.
Yeah,
For the mission, well, the mission will probably kick off after this session, and through it all, we haven't got there. It's gonna be the end of the first act, and I'm so close. We're all so close.
tomorrow for
Getting
sure.
there.
Tomorrow for sure.
Yes.
Yes.
So-
Tomorrow for sure. I don't care who can make it. I don't care who can't. If it's just me, I'm going live. All right.
Go for it,
I'm
man. Yes,
streaming.
we've got to get that momentum back, otherwise it's never going to come. So, I will escort you all out the door as we finish the session and leave you in the quiet town of Patalo. Thank you all very much for playing, and thank you, Grim, for your ever appreciated viewership. See you guys next time.
Indeed.
Hell yeah.
Farewell.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Ta-da.
Herzlich.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh yeah. Also,